Well, good now, everyone.
Hello.
And welcome back to Role-Playing with Act Accordingly, where we test our ostensible friendship in the veritable crucible that is imaginary worlds.
Woo!
And this is Genesis of Infinity!
Woo!
Hopefully this provides some context to some of the homebrew setting of our plane of Zebriadan, and gives little bits and tidbits for the past of some of the characters who are present in our other campaign, and provide them with some more relevance. But for now, it is the 248th year in the Age of Civilization. The term was first coined by Arglastad's Queen Calidora I, and marked the unification of the Arglesian states under their new monarch. Ever since, with the support of the ancient noble elven houses, Arglastad has funded expeditions to every corner of the continent, attempting to spread their interpretation of statecraft and refinement to fledgling nations. While the southern state of Valaden has accepted many suggestions and is a pinnacle of human and elven cooperation, the volcanic jungle of Vraun and the draconic tribes of Cetrunia have remained resistant to interference. Seeking new territories, the Arglesians establish a foothold on the eastern border of the uncolonized land to the west, and declare an open invitation to any who wish to settle it in Calidora's name. Adventurers, like yourselves, flock by the dozen to this new frontier, seeking unknowable treasures in the foreign land. Rumors circulate the continent as to what lies within and below the expansive grassland that stretches as far as the eye can see, including, potentially, a veritable wealth of minerals, artifacts, and undiscovered monsters with glory ready for the taking. Our story begins following a rather well-dressed but road-worn and weary individual. He does along on a caravan, wearing what could be interpreted as Arglesian fashion, but with a scarf wrapped around his face and over his head to prevent the sun from burning it, and the wind stinging at his skin. Would you care to describe your character?
The man you see before you is bald, but with a thick and well-maintained beard and bushy eyebrows poking out from his scarf. He has piercing blue eyes also peering over the edge of it. He's apart from the scarf, I'm wearing black boots, black trousers with a very distinctive red and blue pinstripe, fine leather gloves, a black studded leather doublet over a high-collared tunic, and I'm also wearing a black duster cloak that seems to be a little less refined than the rest of my clothes, almost as if to blend in more with those around me. And also tinkering at my side is a very, very nice rapier, embossed with golden detail.
Man sits lost in thought as he looks over the sands at the landscape around him. Rolling dunes steadily make way in the distance into the savanna and grassland of this new frontier, as his carriage approaches the foothold that Arglastad has made on this bordering nation of Cetrunia. He is not alone in this caravan. There are many other individuals, many of whom grizzled, covered in weaponry and armed to the teeth. Among them, would you like to describe your character?
Well, indeed. Nephris from Clan Utarabe. At an age of 86, he's more than halfway through his lifespan. In growing up surrounding weather-worn sands and deserts and plains, he has a rugged appearance about him. His eyes are bleached yellow like the sands that he grew up around. Wearing very little in the way of metallic protection. He is clothed in robes, though due to his race as a tiefling, he has never needed protection from the sun. So he is not dressed for warmth, but rather he is just dressed to disguise his appearance due to the prejudices against how he looks. He has longish hair that flows by his ears. There is age to his face, and it is obvious when people see him that he's already experienced much in his life and seen much in his life.
Wonderful. The two of you take very little notice of each other, insofar as you merely size one another up as you would anyone else who is seated in this large caravan amongst you. It's a pretty Spartan affair, this wagon that you find yourselves in. There's about a dozen or so individuals who are being pulled along by horse. It's been modified so that it can travel over the sands more effectively, makeshift tracks wrapped around the wheels. It's being driven by drow rangers who have extensive knowledge of the sand wastes and the borders around Citronia. They, however, do seem apprehensive as they start approaching the walls that rise up rather abruptly from the sands. These massive walls of carved sandstone have intricate artwork worked into them, and they are very noticeably alien in this part of the world. Nephris, who has spent most of his life around tribes who pride themselves on shamanistic tradition, finds it almost an affront to see these displays of Arglesian relief worked into the sands of his homeland. Someone who finds a greater appreciation in this, however, is coming behind in a smaller carriage himself. Would you like to describe your character, George?
You see a half-elf, just by noting the slightly pointed ears, nothing too long to notice as being a full-blooded elf. His hair is short and brown and cut and maintained well. He has a goatee that also is very well kept. He keeps mainly to himself, and he doesn't seem to wear too much ostentatious clothes or armors, but nothing that would make him also seem like a beggar. Just seems like he'd be able to blend into wherever he goes. In his light brown hair, he has some tinges of red, and that is a sign that obviously his heritage just comes from more of the Rornic elves. He's only about 5'9", 5'10" in height, medium build, and he's always looking around and observing, but it's not like he's observing the people that are around him presently more than he's observing everything that's happening around him, and is more distant to what he's distanced himself to his immediate surroundings. He seems like he's off, and there's a lot on his mind, and in that regard he has just been following along this caravan like it's on his mission. He hasn't been focused on, because he hasn't reached his destination yet. He carries with him minimal packs and stuff, but you do notice underneath the cloak there is the worn morning star and the shield that's lying on beside him on the other side of his caravan. Both nothing spectacular, but both have seen wear of the adventurer who, for his age of being in his mid-30s, some of it has been well established as an adventurer and has seen battle and has seen things. Do you want to say name? Cool.
Also, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I'm him.
You wouldn't necessarily know.
Yeah.
To rub
the
I just said that, yes.
The lone traveler looks wistfully into the distance at the walls of his destination as the aurochs pulling his cart bellows wearily as the desert wind whips past and flutters the skirting of the caravan and the wagon in front. Finally bringing up the rear, in stark contrast to the rather modest vehicles ahead of it, is an ornate carriage covered in the delicate paintwork of bronze and golds that are identifiable to most of the other adventurers, if not all of them, as the colours of House Narhide, one of the noble elven houses. And surely, a gentleman of note is aboard.
Yes, so at the moment, all you can see if you were to look at him is a full plate of armour covering from head to toe, even his helmet. Everything's been shaped perfectly in proportion to his entire body. There's no part that looks like it's out of shape for the entire set of armour. The helmet headpiece is shaped completely around his face, covering it. With no holes for breathing, which almost would give an indication of some type of magical effect or look. Pointed ears on the side, which have also been covered completely, so can't really, it just looks like a big silver piece of armour, to be honest. So about 6'2", it's probably pretty much all you can really see. If you were to look very closely inside the carriage, you'd see his hands are free. He's got two gauntlets in one hand. A little bit of a piece trying to just screw something together.
The caravan judders to an almost abrupt halt as it comes to the gates of the city. The wind howls mournfully around the walls as the desert wind collides with this structure. As you all look around, everyone becomes slightly uneasy as the true weight of where you are settles in. All of you are seasoned adventurers, yet there's something about this place that seems almost terrifying. And you wait very patiently, some of you beginning to be unsettled, as the drow who are driving the carriage step off and walk towards a very large drawbridge covering a portcullis. There's no water in this moat, it's simply an enormous ditch that's been dug out the front of the gate, and it stretches for what seems like miles on either side. Parallel to it runs this city wall. You can see as you approached from a distance that it sort of curved away at a point. However, for the most part, this wall runs as far as you can see north to south. Literally as far as you can see. There seems to be some form of Arglesian interference to maintain a chokehold on this point of entry to the new frontier. As the drow step off, you see them raise their hands over their heads, clearly showing that they have no weaponry available to them immediately. They take 3 steps forward, and then an impossibly loud war horn blows from atop the gate. They lower their hands. One of them makes a quick hand gesture towards the gate. Those of you in the front carriage, so Nephris and we don't know your name yet. If you could please make an Arcana check.
Uh, 14.
As well.
Okay. At this point, you can see that the hand gestures are definitely some form of somatic component to a spell. He's casting something. You're not entirely sure what it is. It's a bit hard to make out at this distance, and he's quite subtle with what he's doing. But as he completes his hand gesture, a glyph burns into light on the drawbridge. and the wind surrounding all of you stops howling. The coating on the caravan falls dead as an unerring silence fills the area. The drawbridge lowers slowly, and the portcullis behind it raises. The caravan continues inward. As it does so, there's not, as you would expect, a retinue of guards awaiting the caravan with this many adventurers in one place. To have an official guard in the area seems inefficient and potentially dangerous. Instead, there is a single person waiting, hands behind his back. He is wearing a silver mask, half of which has a smile on it, the other a frown. He's wearing motley, and bells cover a doublet of very fine black and red velvet. He stands waiting very patiently as the caravan rolls forward again. The drow again step off the caravan and lower the planks at the back to allow you to depart. The other two the solo individual pulls his carriage up behind, as does the carriage from House Narhide, all in a neat row. The individual standing in front of the caravan makes no moves. He stands still as a statue, waiting, you know not what for. You're just in your carriages.
I stand up and I exit the carriage, and as I stand up, I stand at my full 6 feet tall and remove my scarf to reveal my middle-aged face. I look like not old, but not young either. And I briskly step off the carriage and I will step up. I go up to this man. Sorry, I haven't actually done this voice very much. Please take me to the finest place that I can rest, please.
The face turns very slowly towards you. It tilts, and you notice the side that is upwards is a frown. It returns its head to its upright position. The figure does nothing else.
I smile. Is this the way you greet your guests in this town?
I am to wait
For what are you waiting?
for all of the guests to arrive.
You've been expecting us.
All of you, yes.
At this point, I make my way out of the caravan and I don't make my way directly towards thing, but I kind of just walk up and I stand a bit behind and to the side of the gentleman in the front, and I just wait patiently. Leave my hands. In your hands you see I'm just shuffling cards. I've got a deck of cards in my hand. I'm just slowly playing with them as I just wait. I see absentmindedly I'm not like paying attention to what's going on. I'm just
The individual nods at you and tilts its head to the right so that the smile is upward facing. It then returns its head to the upright position. It looks past you towards the other caravans, noticing that none of the other adventurers appear to have climbed out, including the dozen or so that are still in the main wagon. And he says in a slightly more sonorous voice, "Have all the guests arrived?"
As far as I'm aware, I believe they have. These are the people that I began this transport with. There's been no more or no less.
Just a moment, please. I'm almost finished.
The other adventurers start climbing out of the wagon very gingerly. One of them, a fairly burly dwarf who's wearing full plate armor with a greatsword strapped across his back takes one look at the individual at the mask. Fuck, this is weird. He sits back down and folds his arms.
Fine, I suppose that'll be enough. As you see the door swing open and the man in the full metal suit adjusting the gauntlet back onto one of his hands with another one already in place. Looks a bit too large for him, but you see as he puts it on, it starts to shrink down to the perfect size of his hand as he moves it around, and you can see some parts of it starting to flicker and move. Alright. Sorry for that. As you were.
I'm sorry, I must wait for all the guests to arrive. He tilts his head so that the frown is up and looks directly at the dwarf in full plate who is still on the wagon. A moment. As you watch, the wind gathers up around his feet and he teleports onto the wagon and stands directly in front of the dwarf, glaring down at him. The dwarf cowers backwards, reaching for his greatsword. I take it you are not a guest, he says to the dwarf. And he mumbles something in reply that you can't quite make out, but it sounds like, no, this place is evil. Something is wrong. And as you watch, the masked figure sweeps its hand in a very flourishing, elegant arc. Everyone who can see him currently, the four of you, make a perception check.
Dirty 20.
It's a 6.
Oh, actually not bad.
I don't know. Passive perception.
14.
14.
Jesus Christ.
Passive perception is 9. It's fine. Add that to it.
You would normally just do a roll with your perception added to it. And then proficiency.
Oh, so
Passive perception is fine.
oh, okay, yeah, I can do that.
The passive perception is fine.
Can I go with my
It was
passive?
dirty 20.
Yeah.
Oh, my passive would have been 19.
Okay. So, Nephris, as you watch, you see this elegant flourish, and then suddenly the dwarf falls to his side, and blood splatters across the doublet of the individual with the mask, and you see no reason as to how this could have happened. The more perceptive among you see the unmistakable flash of a blade that, for the slightest second, just appears at his wrist and then vanishes. He steps down briskly off the carriage, making no noise as his feet touch the ground. He turns back, walks 5 very measured paces to where he was standing previously, spins on his heel, looks at you all, and tilts his head to the right so the smile is up. All the guests have arrived. Returns it to its upright position. Adventurers! Welcome to Gevarleik. Those of you who understand the Artesian tongue recognize this as the word for danger. Come. I will show you where you can make yourselves comfortable. He spins on his heel again. He begins walking westward into the city. Things become much clearer to you. Let me see if I can get this to appear. Aha! Maps and stuff. Awesome! You have entered through this gate. The city is as one would expect a frontier city to be. Many of the buildings are unfinished. There are wooden frames everywhere. And for the most part, they seem to be constructing them out of sandstone, if they seem to be more adventurous. But predominantly, the buildings here are made out of mud brick. Something that is long-lasting, but easy for them to put together quite rapidly. There are people milling about everywhere. It's quite a noisy place for you to be, especially considering the fact that it was dead silent outside of the city walls. Amongst most of the individuals that you can see are the type you would expect to go on adventures. There are heavily armored individuals, people covered in weaponry. Every now and then you see quite significantly, what you assume to be quite significantly powerful magic items as well. But more than anything else around here, you see a lot of drow, a lot of dragonborn, and a lot of tieflings who wear no armor and carry no weapons. And they are all working as laborers. This is something that the individual walking ahead of you seems very keen to point out. Gentlemen, ladies, everything in between. Gevarleik is the pinnacle of Arglesian custom. We wish to enlighten the world as to the ways that our feudal society, which has kept us very comfortable for centuries, can benefit the rest of the world. This area, he gestures with a wide sweep of his arm at all of the walls encompassing you, which you now notice does not just include the miles-long stretch of wall at the front, but curves into a circle around the city, forming almost a dome as the sand lurches upward out of the ground around you. This is the Crucible. Here, we will ask at least one, perhaps no more than one, favor of each of you. You may complete this favor together in a party, as most of you adventurous type tend to do. Or you may do so yourselves. A more accomplished completion will lead to greater rewards, and perhaps swifter ascension. He gestures upwards to the west, and you see the sand dunes rise upwards, where you can see the hint of grass on the edges of the dunes, vegetation becoming more plentiful as it extends into the grassland of the frontier. To the hand of the Queen. This is the seat of the noble elven houses, where they may look down upon the Crucible with their well-earned disdain. The Viceroy makes his home there, and he is the only individual who is permitted to send you off on adventures within the frontier. You notice at this point that there are very few other gates outside of this area of the city, apart from the one that you just came through. There is one way into the Crucible and one way out. You may do so either in a coffin or on your feet. You notice that as you've been walking with him, as he's been talking, you come to a fairly clear area at the center of what he calls the Crucible. Right here, however, is a fairly pleasant scene. There's a small oasis in the sandy dust, with palm fronds overhanging a very, very finely appraised sandstone building. This seems to be one of the first finished buildings in this part of the city. The Desert Rose, he bows to all of you. You may make yourselves comfortable here. If you have need of anything, see to it yourselves. He does another bow and a flourish, and vanishes.
I immediately enter the building.
I'll follow.
I'll follow too.
A lot of the other individuals who were trailing along in the wagon have just scattered around to try and talk to as many people as they can. Everyone seemed to have come individually. No one really came as part of a party, so they seem eager to try and make friends as quickly as they can in what promises to be a fairly hazardous area.
I would like to approach the desk of the hotel.
You open a unusually hinged wooden door. And as it creaks open, the interior of the Desert Rose is quite dimly lit. There's a few oil lamps surrounding the area. Most of the people in here are very sullen and very drunk. A lot of them are on their own. There's a few parties of 3 or 4 adventurers, many of whom are poring over maps. But as you walk past as well, you notice that these maps aren't actually of anything unusual to you. They don't seem to represent the frontier itself. They seem to be of the surrounding area in Citronia, which, for the people who have come to explore the frontier, seems rather odd to you. And as you make your way to the the bar to talk to someone there, there's 2 or 3 Dragonborn who are in the far reaches of the hotel who are preparing food and trying their best to chill what they can of wine and beer and such by using cold magic, because they have no means of refrigeration out here.
I will take your finest room, please, and I appreciate your hospitality. And I do a little bow to them and smile.
A fairly tall Dragonborn marches over to you at the bar. His scales are a bright orange color, and his horns are dull black. He glares at you with burning eyes. He's very muscular, but quite slim, as though he's been traveling the road for a long time.
You're ugly, Jean.
Does it make a difference around here?
We've seen their hospitality. We survive here because we must now, not because we want to. We owe you nothing.
Please. I am not here to make enemies. I'm here to find some information. But first, I would appreciate your finest room and perhaps a bath. And I take a nice little patch of gold and I place it on the counter in front of him. Very fat and nice and thick.
He pulls it over towards him and tests the weight. How much have you given him?
50.
Tests the weight.
I suppose you have been on the road a long time. Perhaps you've seen some things that test your loyalties.
I smile and nod.
Very well. A room.
He drops a key on the bar and turns.
Shazik! Fetch a barrel of water for the Lord.
I nod and smile again, looking him dead in the eyes as I do so, never breaking eye contact before I turn and make my way to my room.
He returns to his duties trying to chill ale.
I've walked into the bar and I was waiting behind.
Was it Tima?
Oh, yes. I was waiting to see, looking around the establishment, is there any sort of job boards or anything, or notices and stuff?
There is actually a distinct lack of that. As you noticed when you walked in, there were quite a few adventuring parties who seemed to be working on things, but as you draw near the tables to try and just catch a glimpse over a shoulder of a map or two, and you notice that they're particularly of the Citronian surrounding area, they cover it up and fall quiet. It seems like work is fairly closely guarded here.
I move up to the bar and I wait for the establishment proprietor to notice me, and I take a seat on a stool and I just wait.
as you're sitting there, you do notice as well that there is, rather oddly, a distinct scent of moisture in the air. Something that you haven't smelled for probably weeks as you've been traveling across Etruria. And the damp is almost cloying as you sit there trying to breathe in the dimly lit room. Eventually, the proprietor turns.
There's so many of you. Was there a caravan today?
Yes, the caravan just arrived. And I think there was a good dozen or so.
Too many souls.
I didn't keep count, unfortunately. The only thing I heard that caught my interest was the guide said that we need to do a favor in order to get access to the frontier.
Yes.
Do you know where I have to go, or who I have to speak to and able to find?
The favors come to you. They watch us. Always. From up there.
He nods his head in the direction of the west.
They come to us how?
I'm not an adventurer, not anymore. I haven't been asked to make any kind of favor. I just try to tend to weary travelers and make a bit of gold in the process.
He touches the pouch that you saw him just recently take from an individual.
Can I try and clock this conversation
Yeah, absolutely.
from behind?
Are you trying to do so rather subtly?
Yes.
Make a stealth check.
Ah, sick.
Josh, would you care to make a perception?
Would it be
Actually, no, you've got passive.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
disadvantage? Yeah. Sorry, 17. Yes.
As you're discussing with the proprietor, just shooting the breeze, as it were, you feel a presence behind you as the rather heavily armored elf that you saw step out of the ornate carriage is just barely touching your shoulder with his own.
Just like
it's like he's like leaning on me. Like he's just like trying
It's
to.
not applying any pressure, but you know he's there.
what you doing?
My brow furrows a little bit where I'm just like as confused to thing, but I don't announce any obvious discomfort or anything like that, and I don't seem to give too much heed to it, as the conversation I'm having isn't an important one. I just continue my conversation prior to, and I'll say, "Oh, well, in that case, like the patron before me, I just require a room. I don't believe I'll be staying here for long. How much is the night?"
5 gold.
Okay. That's fair. And I just pull out 5 gold and I hand it to him.
Thank you.
He drops another key on the bar.
I grab the key.
Upstairs, third on the left.
Thank you, Con. And I just nod and depart up to my room.
And you, the bartender turns towards you.
You would best learn to be a bit more scarce. Otherwise, make yourself much more obviously known. Friends are the best way to get by here.
My apologies, it just seemed like the conversation was interesting.
Too interesting, if you ask me. People who ask questions get into trouble.
Well, I'd like your finest room, and not like the other fella you ripped off.
Persuasion.
Oh no. So it's not that one.
Okay.
Oh no, 6.
You see, he bares his teeth at you.
I don't like being accused of thievery.
Oh no, he did that all to himself. Nothing on you. Fools tend to compensate.
He holds out his palm.
I'll just put down 5 gold in his palm.
He drops it onto the counter and holds his palm out.
Yes!
Shit! I'll put another 5 gold into his palm.
He drops it on the ground and grinds it into the dust.
Sleep on the street, princeling.
So a bit. And can I pick up the 5 that's on the counter still there?
Yes.
Excellent.
I mean, you can try and take the one that's in the dirt if you want.
Nah. That shit can go
He's
on.
just bending down and picking it up one by one.
Is.
No, it's like,
Oh,
just
man.
imagine you go behind the counter, just like,
Guys, every
It's
bit
really
just-
nice artwork. It's like,
oh my god. Every bit counts. And I'll just leave and walk out, look around a bit.
Hey, where have you gone? Did you enter?
Not yet.
No. Well, as you're
No, I
standing
did not.
outside, you see the silver-armored elf exit, looking rather forlorn.
During this point, whilst I have watched this exchange from the outside of the bar, I have been investigating the sand beneath my feet, as if seeking comfort from the warmth behind it, the familiarity behind it. As I've sifted my hands through the sand, I've reached out a small little satchel out of my backpack, and into which I've placed a small handful of the sand from my feet into the satchel, which I've then placed back into my backpack. At this point, I've stood up and I've seen the ironclad man in front of me. I approach him. Traveller, I believe names are important. There is power in names. I wish to exchange my name with yours.
Oh, excellent. May I ask for your name?
Of Clan Utrabe, my name is Nephilus.
Oh, can you spell that for me?
N-E-P-H.
Yep. Yep.
R-I-F.
Alright.
S.
S. Excellent.
just imagine this.
You
Spell
could just-
that for me. I need to note it down.
Just for future recall.
Need more detail. Excellent. Well, Nephilus. Gyros Nardhide from the noble family of the Nardhides. Pleasure to meet you.
It is a pleasure.
Now, may I ask what tripped your interest into introducing yourself to me?
I believe that life is often a lonely road, but I was raised with family, with children, with brothers and sisters all being one of the same. It did not matter of blood. I am used to surrounding myself with like-minded or non-like-minded people. There's much to learn.
I see. Right. Well, what is your plan now that you're in this primitive little place?
I have assumed that the place these men before me have walked into as a place of rest. I do not find comfort in four walls and wooden beds. I will find myself a place to sleep amongst the stars, whether it be sand beneath a tree.
Right. Well, I may have annoyed the owner of this establishment. I'd be more than welcome to accompany you if you would have me.
Let me first find a place of rest, and yes,
Excellent. Well, I don't know much about nature and silly whatnot, but I'm more than happy to follow you if you know any ideas, anywhere we could go.
at this point I look for the closest looking official outside of the establishment, outside of the bar,
Yeah.
to ask for directions towards the closest greenery, if any. Do we have greenery in this?
Let's make a nature check for you.
Okay.
See what you can find.
13.
15. So, you look around for such an official, someone who can guide you to an area of greenery. And You don't find any. There's no one here wearing any kind of uniform. There's no guard. No one who seems like they're in charge, really. Everyone just seems to be getting about their business and staying out of each other's way, with the exception of some of the adventuring parties who are trying to keep in little clumps. Those in the smaller clumps seem more afraid than the people who are wandering alone. You do, however, open up your senses to the land around you, and you can feel it calling you towards a point within the crucible, as you're aware you probably shouldn't or can't leave rather easily. And you make your way towards the northeast as it draws you forward, almost uncontrollably. This is just a primal, driving feeling that overwhelms you. And you follow this natural path. It's not trodden by many feet, but it leads to a building that is more notable than the others around here. These mud brick facsimiles that are being built out of every one of this frontier city seem to surround and actually avoid what seems to be an almost natural ziggurat made out of sand. But an aspect of it calls to you, something deep within you, and you get closer. And you can see small markings in the sand. These aren't Arglesian artworks, there's no relief that's been carved into this with a chisel. As you get closer, you realize that the markings are written in Infernal. And that there's something about them that would make anyone who can't read them want to stay away. But the one theme that you can see repeating itself through these infernal runes is the word rest.
Traveler, do you know these words written on these walls?
I believe so, yes. Rest, I believe.
I've grown up with this dialect and this language, and it is,
You speak Infernal?
as per my heritage, yes.
Right. Silly of me, I'm sorry. I'm just fascinated by all of it. Amazing. Right. Well, I'm more than happy to stay here then, if you'd like.
There are quite a few others who are climbing the stairs up towards the peak of the ziggurat. All of them seem to be these poorly dressed tieflings. And they just very calmly make their way up the stairs and through this gaping portal of a doorway at the top that leads down into darkness.
At this point, I pull the cloak that I have hung around my neck. I pull it up above my nose, my mouth, as if to cover my appearance a further bit more, without any direct reason, feeling the need to hide a degree of my identity. At this point, I stay by. Fancy name again?
Jaros.
Jaros.
Jaros is the
Jaros. I stick by my side with Jaros and begin to move toward the building.
Yeah, I'll just follow.
Can I make an investigation check?
Absolutely, you can.
I'll aid, so you can get roll at advantage. Let's roll it again.
It's 11. Oh, it's a, yeah, it's not just +1. Nice. That's an 18. That's a 17.
Is there anything specific that you're looking for?
I'm interested specifically on the inside of the structure. Any language, any dialect, anything infernal, given the words that I've already read at the entrance.
As you make your way in, the phrase rest seems to be repeating itself on the walls. Not only in that you're reading it and it's your own mind's voice, you hear multitudes of voices saying the word rest in your head, whispering it, rest, rest, rest. And as you take the first few steps down into that darkness, in which you can both see almost perfectly, as the stairs come to their base, and it opens up into a chamber below, you see about 20 or so of these rather scrabbily dressed tieflings asleep on the floor, and you feel an overwhelming urge to sleep. And you both collapse.
Oh, shit.
We'll take a break. Is there anything that you wish to do while you're in the inn?
Yes.
Before nightfall comes.
I just want to have my bath and clean myself up, and then once I've done that, I will make my way back down to the part of the common area. So if please let me know when I can do that.
Absolutely. The room that you've been given is fairly nicely appointed. If it is, however, the nicest room they have, this place is very subpar by your standards. The bath that you have been provided, when he said to fetch a barrel of water, it was not to fill any such receptacle. It is literally a barrel of water. It is heated to a degree. It's lukewarm. But that being said, it is the greatest comfort you've had in weeks while traveling to this place.
As I step into the bath, I sigh and I say to myself, this is worth every bit of gold.
As you clean yourself up, you can hear the toing and froing downstairs. It does seem to have become somewhat livelier now that the sun has been going down. You can see from the small small slit in your wall that makes for a window, that the sky has become painted a deep orange and purple as it vanishes beyond the walls surrounding the crucible. But you're more than welcome to make your way downstairs.
I put on fresh clothes, which are identical to my previous ones, and and I keep my jacket on, but I'm not wearing my scarf, so you can plainly see my face and all of its features. So I make my way
In all
down.
of its glory.
In all of its glory. My lovely bald head.
Yes.
I make my way down, and I go up to the bar, and I nod at the gentleman I was speaking to before.
It's actually quite hard for you to make your way to the bar at this
Okay.
point. It's quite a lot more crowded in, and the people who are filling the bar are very obviously in groups this time. There doesn't seem to be anyone here really by themselves from what you can see in the surrounding area. You sort of have to shoulder your way through the people to get to the front and actively get the attention of the barkeep from before.
Rather than doing that, is it possible for me to locate a table as isolated a table as I can that's still within good hearing range of the rest of the room?
Absolutely, yeah. So you can sort of find one tucked away over towards a corner. As you do so, you can very surreptitiously putter out one of the oil lamps, as just very surreptitiously as you pass it, so that you have yourself a good degree of shadow as well. And as you take your seat down on that side, you notice it doesn't seem like anyone has noticed you doing so.
Cool. Can I also try to make eye contact with the patron? Not patron. What's the opposite of patron?
The proprietor.
Proprietor. Thank you.
Yes.
Can I try to make eye contact with the proprietor as if to motion to him to bring me a drink?
He glares at you and winces almost as he makes eye contact, as though he was trying to actively avoid it. And he nods, and with a gesture of his clawed hand at one of the other dragonborn behind the bar, he points in your direction, and soon one of them comes over, holding a obviously chilled, in fact, frost-encrusted mug of ale, and places it down for you.
I gesture the individual closer and ask if I could have a small plate of their finest food on offer.
One moment.
He vanishes back again behind the bar and comes back places a platter on the table in front of you, and it seems to be some form of giant insect that's been skewered and grilled.
While internally I think, what in the world have they given me? I smile without a hint of disgust on my face, and I just look very happily and contented.
Deception check.
Was it deception?
Deception.
It is a 27.
Oh shit.
The Dragonborn looks you up and down, shrugs, and turns away.
And I before he walks away, I'd like to thank you very much for your hospitality. And I start tucking into the food, and I take a big gulp of the nice cold ale. And yeah, the food's actually pretty good. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. It's actually quite meaty.
It is actually quite nice.
The spices are very, very satisfying. So I don't mind it.
Yeah, nice. At least you at least convince yourself that it is. You're that good.
Deception is so high, you convince yourself that it's
Fuel. I'm very hungry at this point.
It is the best thing you've eaten in days.
Right. So I eat as I perceive quietly the rest of the room.
Yeah, it's basically what you would expect of a revelry of a tavern. There's no raucous singing or jubilation here, though. This is primarily, even when people are going about their night eating and drinking, this is a place of business. And everyone is a little bit on edge as they play games at various tables and just try to distract themselves from whatever this place is and what they might have to do when their favor comes up. The one thing you do notice, however, is that you thought that everyone in the tavern, apart from yourself, was in a group. You realize you were mistaken, as your eyes had very quickly passed over one individual in a similarly darkened corner to yourself. There's a dwarf wearing very dark armor, covered in bandages. Around his forehead, around his arms, and a particularly large one around his chest. The only thing that would have noted the very dark armor is the vambraces that he's left on while he heals. But you can see that they're decorated with a very peculiar ironwork. If you would like to describe your character, Jason.
So you see a dwarf, relatively, I guess tall for a dwarf. He's about 5 feet. He is, on appearance, fairly battle-hardened. You know, his face gives off that he is aged a bit. Not quite halfway through his life, but he's getting there. He has long, like shoulder-length black hair with white streaks through it, almost in the kind of shape of lightning bolts. He has a bit of stubble across like a chiseled jawline, deep set, dark blue eyes with specks of orange. He has a few prominent scars like running across his cheek, a few new scars he's just picked up. He's got quite a muscular build, which, you know, could speak to any number of things. The armor that he is wearing is a very dark blue, with black tentacles coming up from the midsection around his upper chest. And the chest plate is designed to look like kind of like clouds. There's quite a few symbols on the armor that you would have to probably look a bit closer to see. But it's very detailed. And there are a few, the shoulder pauldrons and his shin guards appear to be some sort of iridescent material that, I don't know, depends who would know what it is, but we'll have to see. And the leg pieces following on from the waist are dark blue woolen pads that just cover the sides of the legs and the front to the back, just for some extra protection. And he is wearing a torque, like a Celtic necklace kind of thing, of a kind of a serpentine centipede creature that you may or may not recognize. And probably can't see them too well, depending on how he's sitting, but you can likely see the heads of two hammers poking out from behind the small of his back, one appearing to be glowing slightly red, and the other glowing slightly blue.
And he sits alone on the other side of the bar from you. We will go to the other individual in the inn.
I'm just in my room. What is the room's layout?
So it's roughly triangular with smooth corners on it, with the longest edge with the door that faces out into the hallway. You have a very small cutout of one wall that acts as a window for yourself. Everything else is very Spartan, so you just have a wooden bed frame and that's covered with some furs, and then a single bookshelf which is empty, and a chest of drawers as well. Apart from that, there's not much else in here. There's a footstool you could use as a chair, but there's not a lot in here that you could avail yourself of to make yourself comfortable, really. The expectation is that most of the people who come to the Desert Rose would be adventurers with their own equipment.
When I get to the room, I take a deep breath and I look around, and then I methodically go about and I push whatever the stool out of the way, and making sure there's space in the middle of the room where the floor would be. I drop my pack and I lean my shield and Morningstar on the furs, and I take off my cloak, and you can see that I'm wearing scale mail. Then I go to my pack and I take out, after already through, I find some incense, which I then, and chalk, and I go to the windowsill and light the incense, and I take the chalk and I draw a circle on the ground with points to face the direction of north, south, east, and west. And from my pocket I pull out the deck of cards I was playing with, and I sit in the middle, cross-legged, and I place the deck in front of me and swipe the cards down until 5 come across, and those ones are in front of me. Then I cast divination.
Okay.
So, I'm going to ask a simple question. Do you need the spell up, or do you?
No,
You know it? Okay. So I start chanting and murmuring and thing, and you can see the cards glow, and then I flip them over as I ask. In my mind, I'm asking, for my course of action, where do I find to this favor, of which I need to complete to further my...
Everyone leave except for Josh.
Yeah, yeah.
Shit, okay.
We're going upstairs.
To my room.
No, just be quiet if you guys
I'm
do.
quite
Yeah, but yeah, you go upstairs, you go. Just Nate's asleep.
Just say that, yeah.
You lay out the cards, and you ask what this favor is going to be.
Where do I go receive
Where do you go to receive this favor? Your eyes roll back into your head until just the whites are exposed, and you enter a trance-like state. You find yourself surrounded by darkness. It's very cool here. You can hear a dripping noise. As you turn around, you see a drip of water, just very slowly, just periodically going drip, drip, and then ripples expand from it. And as the last drip comes, the water goes still. and you look down and see yourself sitting cross-legged in a perfect mirror face. And as you reach your hand out, the mirror doesn't follow suit. The reflection stays still, and it stays smiling at you. And then it closes its eyes and reclines backwards. Your reflection vanishes, and you're left in a dark room again. And in front of your eyes, you see the wispy veil and long robes worn by your mentor, Elena. And as you look up to meet her eyes, she reaches down to you and says, "Rest." And then your trance ends.
I take a moment to the incense. I don't know how much time's passed. The incense burned damped a little bit, and I take a moment to recall everything, and I start writing down in a little notebook memories, and I pack up the cards and I put them away.
The sun has set at this point, and you can hear the tavern getting more raucous below you.
And then I grab my gear and I make my way out to the main hall.
Beautiful. Everyone can come back. Don't know how we're gonna go.
I'll message.
Yeah.
You said I said rest, and then I
Elena said
rest,
rest,
and then nothing,
and then
everything just
everything vanished.
So, what did you
In what language?
Common.
Jolene's just ran to the top. Right before
Well, that's unfortunate because the next bit involves him. Well, you make your way downstairs, and you notice that the tavern is much more full than when you first arrived. Everyone is bustling, trying to get towards the bar itself, and the hard work of the barkeepers seems to have been paying off, and everyone is doing their best to get chilled drinks at this stage, because despite the fact that in the desert it gets a lot colder at night, the crucible seems to have this insulating effect, and the city itself remains just as hot as the sun has passed overhead and just holds it in with this sort of mud brick effect, this sort of oven effect that keeps everyone hot even into the deepest hours of the night. Everyone that you can see in the room is in groups, except for two individuals who are trying very hard not to be seen on opposite sides of the rooms. One is a very battle-worn dwarf, and the other is an individual that you saw from one of the wagons.
I got to the proprietor and just a simple meal for the evening. How much would that cost?
A single gold.
I just push a single gold across the table.
He picks it up very easily, very simply, and just says,
I like you. You don't ask for much.
I don't need
You're
for
very
much.
straightforward.
I don't need for much.
Good. We don't have much to give around here.
I look around for the vacant seats, and you said there was the two people that were.
there are two people seated on.
So I make my way to the table of the gentleman that was the older gentleman that was in front of, in I haven't got the food yet. Like, that's I go and then go up to, and I turn to him who's sitting down.
Yes.
And like, do you mind if I join you?
Sorry, do we know each other?
Oh, we don't know each other. We've just been we travelled together here. And as far as I can see around the room, everyone seems to have been. There aren't many available seats. And you're the only friendly face that I recognise.
I smile and say, recognize. Very well. That is fine by me. At this point, I finished my food, and is it right if I have some kind of like a cigarillo type thing? Can I like have like some smokes or something like that?
Sure.
Bring
Let's
it
go
back
with-
into the campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like I don't want a pipe. I want like actual like rolled up.
That would be
Tobacco or
our
something.
illusion to have rolled, like a rolled tobacco or something.
Is tobacco okay?
Something similar to it.
Okay.
It would be some kind of weed that
It's
you
grass.
Yeah.
That's grass.
It doesn't alter my. It doesn't.
No, it's literal grass.
Sergeant goes druggy.
Simply addictive. Not at all mind altering. Okay, well I finished my drink.
I mean, it might be.
As the individual sits down, I push my plate away and I light up one of my cigarettes.
Your little roll.
Well, my little rolls. I call them my rollies. I light up one of my rollies.
Oh, I don't like that.
So, what do you call yourself?
My name is Cullen.
Colin. Pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
My name is Silas. Silas Volovoce. You would have.
I haven't heard of anyone in this region. I am new here, like yourself, I believe.
Yes, I am not from this region. I am from.
Buffering.
Radstrom. Where are you from? I'm sorry, what is your name again?
Cullen Drewheim. That Drewheim? Drew. Drew. That's it.
It's your name.
I can't pronounce it as a H-U. Drew. That's right. Cullen.
So from where do you come?
Just a small village in the southwest, on the southeast lakes. Yeah, just a small little camp. I grew up there. There's nothing fancy. There's nothing to note. It is quite wilderness. Not so much like here.
This is interesting. So what brings you to such a barren place?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a quest, but I'm on the urgent matter to find someone who I believe is in danger or portent to becoming in danger, and I need to. That person is very important to me.
May I ask?
You was a copy. You're meant
Yes,
to
it does for a while.
just smoke in front of me, just.
Straight to his face.
No. I very obviously make an effort to blow it away from my guest's face
to make sure the prior
to make sure none gets in his face. I put it in such a way that it would be the least offensive possible. I'm sorry,
It lofts languorously out the window.
this does not bother you. In fact, would you like?
I do not partake in such drinks or imbibe such smokes.
I completely understand. So, can you tell me more about your mission?
Don't have much to go on apart from some unsettling visions that I have been having as of late, since before I start my journey.
Visions. What is these visions?
It's just the same vision, actually. I haven't made much sense of it, but all I can see is my mentor she's in some sort of trouble, but the signs aren't clear, and every time I've asked for guidance and meditated on it, it's always the same.
I am very sorry to hear such troublesome experiences. I cannot say I relate. I do not have such visions.
Omens and visions, they don't show what has happened or what could happen. It's the interpretation of them that makes it sometimes indecipherable.
Are you saying you could potentially see the future?
I have been known to see outcomes, and that is what I was trained from a young age. I had a gift. It wasn't always, like you would say, a sure thing, but more often than not, we found that
What
my
do you
scene, my sight, as they would call it, could see things that might happen.
That's a useful ability. What do you see as the outcome of this conversation?
So much. I've never really done small, trivial sights because there's so much chance involved, and every little thing affects the outcome. Every ripple could change the outcome. Every word could change the way the conversation will lead. I hope in talking to you that I am seeking aid and getting out to the frontier, and if we have this favor to do, they did say it would be quicker if we did it in a group.
Well, it's a shame that you do not see this conversation as significant enough. But I understand that higher powers are at work. There's people like yourself believe. For me, I do not believe such things, but I do not judge those who do. I understand the motivation behind them. Regardless, I have not heard of these favors yet. I am not here to follow the whims of those who run this place. I am here on my own assignment, one might say.
Does that assignment require you to get out onto the frontier?
Possibly. I'm honestly not 100% sure where I will go next to find what I'm looking for. I know this is the path, this is where I've been led, but it is a matter of investigation that I still require.
Well, for one that doesn't believe in such sight, as you could say, or belief system that I have, would you be interested in finding out if your endeavours will come to pass in a good or bad outcome?
Are you saying you want me to partake in some sort of ritual of some kind to see the future?
I wouldn't say it's more of a future, it's more of a scale, whether there are tips in your balance or not. I can read the cards and tell you what I see.
Cards. You are a card reader. That is... I'm sorry, sir. I appreciate we all must make some money in this life, but I'm not interested in paying for such a service.
I do not charge, and I have never charged for such readings. People come to me for my gift, and I give it freely, as it should be given freely to all.
Very well, but how do you know if you are some kind of charlatan hoping to pickpocket me while I am distracted? I am a very perceptive individual. I bust out the rest of my Rolly.
I pull out my cards and I just like start shuffling absentmindedly, and then I lay it out face down cards and I cast. Augury.
Okay.
Is this? Is that level 1? I don't know what level it is. 0. This is one of your domain spells.
This was me, like, finding out what my where my character's from.
Alright.
Just finding out.
It's a loading bar, but
It's in my character background on the document.
It's the Augury.
Damn.
So,
Already. Busted.
First spell of the campaign, bang!
Busted.
so
Second
I
takes
lay
second.
out my cards, and if you would tell me what specific course of action you plan to take in the this is the next 30 minutes in the most recent. What is your next action that you plan to take?
Well, I hope to find some people who can assist me in where I need to go.
So that
I have encountered many untrustworthy companions in my time here. I wish to find someone who could be more reliable to help me complete my mission.
what do I see?
Bless you.
Oh,
So-
wise. Oh, wise.
One. Didn't like that you stopped.
You start to, so how many cards are you turning over?
I've pulled out.
Just 5.
I pulled out 5 again, but I've started flipping them over one by one.
A few of the cards that flip over you recognize as some meaning the ideas of shared gratitudes. The 10 of Cups is the first card that you flip. Then the 4 of Wands for shared celebrations. They go on like this with similar meanings, but what you can tell from casting your augury spell is that if he were to pursue the idea of seeking friends within the next 30 minutes, he'd be sure to succeed.
So, if you are looking, well, the cards do say that if you are looking or seeking help from people or from sources to you, soon you shall find that successful to your. You will find assistance should you seek it.
What sort of assistance?
Oh, only you can know what assistance you look for. The cards never give definitive, and a lot of it is up to interpretation. But for the most part, I'm not wrong.
You have to forgive me. It's a little bit broad. There's a possibility that I will make a friend in the next 30 minutes in this room full of individuals. There's a possibility I might not. I could have told you that.
Doubt is a part of your domain, it's not mine.
You mistake my question for doubt. I'm not doubting, merely hoping to understand. You have 4 other cards to tell me.
No, I've turned them on.
Oh, you said them all. Oh, okay, right.
It's on all.
That's a new message.
One of them says, fuck you.
Yeah.
Why are you so rude? Is that all the guidance you can provide to me?
The guidance was based on the question that was asked. The more specific the question, the more, to a degree specific, the answer you shall receive.
Perhaps you could help me with something a bit more specific then. On the caravan, on the way here, as I mentioned, I am looking for a more specific. As I mentioned, I'm looking for specific individuals who can help me in my journey, considering the poor company that I have kept so far.
On the caravan, I heard a couple of individuals speaking about a dwarf by the name of Grimdelver. I hear he is possibly an individual for hire who can help me help turn my fortunes around and complete my mission. Do you know of such an individual?
There wasn't a dwarf that arrived with us.
Well, I didn't say they didn't say they arrived with us. They just said they had heard that such an individual was already here and potentially a very capable individual. No,
I guess one thing
No
I've
matter.
learned about dwarves in my experience with them is that, for the most part, they keep themselves, and it's maybe a stereotype, but dwarves tend to know dwarves.
that is
Because all dwarves know each other.
that sounds
Tell me otherwise.
that sounds kind of racist.
Clans generally stick together and have a lot of mutual respect for other clans. So the best person, they might not know each other, but the point I'm trying to make for you is that if you want to know about a dwarf, the best person to ask is a dwarf.
Well, I suppose I may be in luck because I'm not sure if you noticed, but I see a couple of dwarves in this room. Perhaps I prefer to observe than be on the front foot for these things. Perhaps I can kindly ask you to approach them and ask for me.
Yes. Well, I'm no stranger to making new acquaintances as we just met.
Says the dwarf racist.
I love the backpedaling trying to do it. Sorry. No, what I meant.
I'm not racist, but
However,
do you wish me to let them know your intentions, or just to find out the dwarf's name, if he knows the dwarf in particular that you are looking for?
Well, to be fair, I light up another one of my rollies.
We're going with it. It's now the rolly.
At least it's not a vape.
Yolky mate.
The artificer makes a vape from it.
Maybe that could be a significant moment in my character's
oh
life.
yeah, electronic rolly. Elec
Don't call it a vape.
It's an elect roll.
It's an E-roll.
An E-roll.
E-rolly.
Oh, yeah.
Taking so many drags of this. When
He's just trying to get rid of it at this
Get
point.
when-
Like, half this
when-
campaign is him
when
trying to
just-
figure out what he's trying to say by smoking.
Yeah, well, I keep going to take a drag to start my sentence, and everyone else is talking.
It's called rolling poison.
It's called rolly playing.
Hey.
Maybe continue.
Okay, I line up my rolly. To be fair,
You do not fully know my intentions as of yet. So yes, perhaps for now, keep the information light.
What was the name again? What was the name?
Grindelver, I believe. But again, this is
Grimdel? Far?
yes. But who knows? Maybe that's the name wrong. All you can do is ask.
I motion for Cullen to hop to it.
I'm assuming as I go, my food's gonna arrive.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a restaurant if it happened otherwise.
Yeah, no, that's true. I get up and I straighten my robes, my cards back on my pocket. I give it a short bow, nod, and then I turn and walk to the other corner where I approach the dwarf that's sitting there, and I stand patiently. I'm like, I hope
As you open your mouth to speak, Shazik the Dragonborn walks over carrying a plate of skewered insects to the table where you were previously sitting and places it down in front of Silas.
I look back and it's like,
I nod to Cullen as if to reassure him that his feet will remain untouched as long as I got.
I don't mean to be forward, and I'm sure you don't want to interrupt your meal. I've just noticed that unlike many of the other patrons here, you are sitting alone. And you weren't one of the few that arrived with us today. And I'm looking for some information or assistance and help in finding out my way around this new area.
Somewhat sarcastically replies, well, what can I do for you?
Have you been in the city long?
Arrived today.
Do you know much about this favor business we are required to do for the city?
No.
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't formally introduce myself. My name is Cullen Druhai. And who would you be?
Toward
Tor. Could you spell that?
T-O-R-D-R-A-D.
Tor D-R-A-D. Oh, Tor. I see that you're a bit worse for wears, one might say.
You're a keen eye.
Would you do? I am. Somewhat would say a cleric by skill, even though that's not what my specialty lies in. But if you do require some healing services, I would be happy to assist you.
What's the cost?
There's no cost.
There's always a cost.
Oh, I guess friendship is too much to ask for, or even a polite conversation as you.
Very well. Conversation, I guess.
Because as we both arrived here, we don't know many people, and it may be in our benefit to help each other out, especially when this favor arrives.
Sure. Start with the healing.
I go to I grab a hold of my cards and holding it, and then I go to touch it, but then I look for permission to see, do you accept that I'm gonna?
He just nods.
So I lay my hand on his arm.
Always that's opposite.
Well, that's what consider healing, guys. You don't know if someone wants to be healed or not, alright?
He only consents.
He's
Always ask for
unconscious.
consent
He's
from
unconscious.
I need your consent! No way! We still do it.
Shake I then will just cast first level cure wounds on him.
Range of touch doesn't mean touch is okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's now a ritual.
This is D&D 23. So yeah, I cast just a basic. I don't know if you needed healing or not. So I'm just.
I wasn't.
You
informed,
sure did.
so, yeah, how much healing I needed.
Yeah.
Oh, so you do actually need healing.
He does.
Well, you know, I'm sure I'm still bleeding through my bandages.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
How much?
you can
How
roll.
much HP was he on? Can we know?
Hold on. You can roll 1d8 plus my spell.
Or he could just.
Or he could just tell you how much he was.
Yeah.
He just
He
tells
is-
you how much he was
that's
missing.
He is bleeding. He is bleeding through his bandages.
I didn't know. Actually, that's
Like, if you haven't seen him walking, but if you did, he would walk with a pronounced limp.
no. So yeah, I'll cast it, which is my 1d8 plus 5.
Do you want me to roll that?
Well, no.
Pretty
You,
sure that he
Oh,
has
healing.
yeah.
yeah. Sorry.
I can.
5 plus 5, so you got 10 hit points.
Oh, that's sick.
I
I told you my total, but I just doesn't matter. Hit points.
yeah. What is your total?
105.
Yeah, cool. You are. It's a fair chunk of healing. The bleeding stops, so like it's the bandages obviously don't magically fix themselves. But you're no longer actively bleeding. You return to.
Do I still have wounds like below the bandages, or like are they?
They're closing up at this stage. So you have about 75 hit points left.
Sick.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you here? You said you were right to stay by yourself. Would you care to join myself and another acquaintance I have made today? Perhaps we can form a sort of little group. I'm trying to get to the frontier as soon as possible, and the sooner I get this favor done, the sooner I can get out of here.
Where is this companion of yours?
Motion to the smoke cloud that's in the other corner.
He's in the smoking section.
He just looks around. He's like, oh.
Nice. Well, I suppose you did a favor for me. Why not? And I'll get up and walk to the table.
I'll come back and I will sit down and I will slide my plate towards me from your thing, and just like I just asked for water. I think I'm not drinking. So then I'll just start kind of like eating in between while you get comfortable.
I'm eyeing off the food a little bit.
I look at I'm like I have a lot of left. I'm like, have you eaten?
It's okay. It's okay. I get eye contact with my mate in the bar again. And I nod and I give him like one of these ones.
He goes. Yeah, he gestures to the dragonborn behind the bar again, and just like does the old and they will attend to you shortly. He does a he gives you one of those.
I give him a nod and a light smile. Thanks.
He continues talking to me.
You will have food and drink.
Cigars and drink.
Much appreciated.
I hope you don't mind me having a room.
I don't know what that is. I don't care.
My manners, I'm so sorry. Talker, this is Silas Volivoce.
You wouldn't have heard of me.
Certainly haven't. No reputation to speak of.
That is the way I like it. So,
I just had this flashback and like, was it Brother Volivoce? Everyone heard of him. I'm just like,
You would have heard.
it's just finally clicked. I'm just like,
did you just get that?
Yeah.
Actually, saying now that you explain it.
it's like, why did it
I
sound
didn't
so
get it
familiar?
either,
But
so
no,
it's
really?
better.
It's good. It's like it's literally.
It's as long since we did it.
I'm glad it wasn't immediately obvious. I'm actually glad it wasn't that
That's
obvious.
good. Nah, I like that.
Alright, I feel like we should explain.
Yeah,
My
please.
character in the other campaign,
Yeah.
his name's also he's got the same last name. His name's Dimitri Volovoce, but he's really
Everyone has heard of him.
he's a really outlandish pirate, kind of like Jack Sparrow, and he's like
Perhaps you heard of me.
yeah. And I hope everyone's heard of me. Yeah, you know. So
Well,
it's
just
like
believed everyone should have heard of him.
Thanks, Julian.
Anyway.
But this is like, it's like
Good job, that's grouse. That's awesome.
At this point, you've also noticed that, like, in the time you've been talking to him, I've had another 2 rollies. There are currently 3 plotted out on my plate. So this is my 4th. We can rename them if you want.
No, it's true. It's too late.
I'm gonna make your e-rolls.
Rollies TM.
I'm gonna make your e-rolls later.
I have to now.
It'll be like a
That's
mental
like
pipe film
the
when I make it as well.
No, I don't want to play.
Oh.
Past 12 years.
Oh, yes,
It's
that's
and you don't know with me or my pipe.
Come on, no one in, who would can we name one character in fantasy that punches some rolled up darts? You can't. You fucking can't, Dane. Anyway. Alright.
So,
Yeah. I'm sorry, what did you say your name was again? Tordrad. Do you have another name? By any chance? A name that your people might know you by?
A surname.
If that's what your people call it.
I think that's what everybody calls
I apologize, I am not like my friend here. I do not make assumptions about people's races.
it. I'm just curiously eyeing off because I didn't hear that conversation.
I just look and I'm just like, I just continue with my food. Like,
If you must know, Grim Delta,
I turn to Cullen and I say, perhaps doubt was misplaced. Tordrad.
I smiles, just a slight smile of just knowing I'm right. Like,
I nod. I'm rather impressed by the magic that I witnessed for the first time today. Tordrad, what brings you to this bad place?
Mostly shelter. If I can see all the bandages on me.
Is it okay if I ask what became of you to avoid that place is?
I was attacked in the middle of the night.
An assassination attempt?
Then it seems so.
Didn't seem so.
Not an assassination as such. I was with my companions, and we were attacked by scores, 2 score at least, of some sort of creatures in armor made of skin, fur, and bones. They used magic that I'd never seen before. Everyone else was dead except for me.
where did this happen?
Oh, not too far from Gevarleik.
I am very sorry to hear your companions. Had you been traveling together long?
Not really, no. Didn't know that well.
No, that's okay. I'm still sorry though, that is still, no doubt a very troubling.
It's the way of life.
So tell me, Tordrad, this individual here wants to complete some of these favors, but frankly my journey lies beyond these walls and I don't really have the time or the willingness, to be perfectly honest, to play the games of the royalty of this place. Tell me, what are your intentions once you've healed up? Are you intending to leave, or are you intending to complete some of these favors?
I'm looking for a dragon.
Dragon? What kind of dragon?
I'm not quite sure. There's not many dragons, they're quite rare.
Not many people chase dragons.
I can't say I have seen any besides the many books in my personal library.
I've never even encountered one.
Neither I. It's mostly investigating rumors.
Rumors? What for?
Well, its location, its nest. It seems like it's made its home far to the northwest.
But what is the goal? Why do you want to risk such a journey?
It's the job.
Job? You're a hunter?
No, just mercenary for hire.
For hire, you say? Is that the companions you're traveling with? Have they hired you?
They weren't quite strong enough on their own.
Had they made some bad friends? That's why you were attacked. Or was these your enemies?
Not that I know of. I've never seen them before in my life.
Very well.
But you say you're after a dragon in particular, and what information do you have on this dragon? I mean, what type of dragon are you saying is in near the lands?
Not sure. Wasn't given much to go on.
You didn't get, like, a colour?
It's a dragon.
Yes, I
How
know
many
that.
do you see around?
I don't see them, but from the books that I've read,
Yes, I think there are more than one kind of dragon.
and usually
If I see one dragon, I'm going after that one.
What if it is not the one you're looking for?
Who's gonna know? They
Well,
don't even know what color it is.
so the people that hired you don't know the.
Yeah, Cullen,
That's correct. Why is this such a difficult thing to grasp?
I
So they
simply.
just want a dragon, any dragon.
Yeah.
Ah,
But they said that there was a dragon in this area.
Well, it was to the northwest of the continent, and on the way I was attacked.
I apologize for the questions. I just simply would like to understand. But yeah, okay. So you are looking for a dragon, not a particular dragon.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Finally.
Well, the northwest. As luck would have it. I look at Cullen again as if laughing at his how correct his prediction has become. As luck would have it, that is the direction I am heading for my personal assignment.
And why is that lucky for me?
Well, I've had a lot of bad luck with the other individuals that I've hired to help me on my journey so far. Not limited to a full-on mutiny. I had to put them down myself.
So you'd be willing to pay?
Yes. Perhaps not in gold necessarily, but perhaps there can be a very...
If you say experience, I'm going to kick your ass.
Don't worry, I'm not... This is not simply to give you the exposure of your name. I bust out my rolly. But from where I come, the individual who has sent me on my assignment will be able to erode you much more than a few pieces of gold.
But gold.
I'm sure there will be gold, as well as the other things that she can provide.
Right. Well, I don't have direction right now, so I'll take you up on that offer.
I still would think we're forgetting one single fact. Like, the guide was quite clear when we arrived that the only way forward into the frontier was to complete the favor.
I don't see
I wasn't listening.
that shouldn't be a problem. We should be able to leave just fine.
Well, I do need to get out there, and the sooner we go, I think the better. If no one knows that we're here or noticed that we've stayed here for too long to draw too much attention to ourselves.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to come with us as well?
Well, I need to get out of here.
Are you too good in a fight?
Pardon?
Are you too good in a fight?
I don't like fighting,
Okay. Right.
but I am quite good after a fight.
I
What about you?
There, there.
I must have heard.
I put my hand on my rapier and say, I am more a man of words, but if need be, I can take care of the situation. But you see, my friend, I look him up and down. That is why I am paying you to be with me.
Right.
I require men for hire who can fight.
I think you're gonna need more than just me.
I think with me around, and I guess with him as well, this is a good start. You are already twice the size of many of the men I've already hired together, even at your stature.
You're not that much taller than me.
He
Well-
is so much taller than you.
Wasn't he? How tall?
I'm 6 foot tall.
Oh,
Everyone that's short here has made tall characters.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
that's tall has made shorter characters, alright? That's what happened.
This is called fantasy.
Elves are always tall, right? I just wanted
I made myself
to-
shorter. Yeah,
I made myself shorter.
yeah.
Now fuck you
I'm not
guys.
tall.
What is it?
I turn back to Carl and I say, I am sorry, so I thought you said you wanted to do whatever it is they want us to do here. You want to get out to the frontier as well.
I need to get out to the frontier, but as soon as possible. I would prefer to not be looking over my shoulder, as I do.
Do you know what kind of favor they need?
Everyone has asked has not been able to give me any information about this favor. I've consulted the cards before I came down here, but all I could get from my vision was one word out of the images that I saw.
What word?
Rest.
As the word comes out of your mouth, you find yourself standing, unbidden, the two of you watch as Cullen just very slowly, almost wistfully, walks out of the door.
Where the fuck is he
Does Tordrad do anything because he repeated the word?
Tordrad
going?
likewise stands up.
Oh, you
and
said rest too.
follows.
I did, yeah, after you.
He repeated you.
Yeah, I did.
Slowpokes.
We're catching.
As they walk off, I sigh. And I say, I just tired that dude.
Is dude some Artesian word?
Yeah. It means bitch.
Carried down to generations.
Yeah.
Silas, as you follow the two who are walking out of the building, they begin
I mean, you didn't even get your food.
they begin very calmly walking to the northeast area of the Crucible.
Would my studies have at all say anything about the favors or what they do or what they want from us? Like even like a hint of that from like my own study.
Not exactly, no.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's not us.
Yeah.
All right. I follow these guys kind of begrudgingly.
You watch them as they walk with single-minded determination towards a ziggurat that juts out from the other buildings in the area. It's carved with all manner of inscription, which you realize. You make a investigation check.
Aggressive.
So excited.
I forget if I'm not proficient in it. It's just a roll of the dice, right?
Yeah, plus your intelligence.
Oh, okay, cool. Just a flat 9.
5-9. You're not entirely sure of the origin of these. What languages do you speak?
Just common, I think.
Okay. Yeah, you have no idea of the the origin of
I guess
the
I might speak more
inscriptions.
because I'm a scholar. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I just did common, but I didn't think of it.
We're gonna probably eliminate one now. I
Yeah,
guess.
we can eliminate one now.
Yeah.
You don't recognize the inscriptions.
He comes back to you the next day. Hey, do I know this lady?
But as the moon rises over the ziggurat, you watch your two very new companions walk slowly up the steps and vanish into the darkness of the doorway.
Oh, can I do like some sort of perception check to check whether I should be wary of any kind of traps or
Yeah.
what the environment is or
Yeah,
any
perception.
threats? 25.
Cool. There are no traps. However, you can sense that there is magical energy distinctly coming, like emanating from the ziggurat, particularly from inside.
Okay. As I walk in, I keep my hand on my waist, not the opposite waist where I've got my rapier, but on my other waist.
As you're walking through, you keep looking at the inscriptions on the walls, your eyes straining in the dim light.
Can I enter sort of like more of a stealthy / sneak kind of
Yeah, you make a stealth roll.
position?
Yeah.
27.
Oh shit.
You are practically invisible.
Just against the shadows.
As you walk down, you keep your eyes very peeled, just in case there's anything that might trap you, and you keep yourself pressed against the wall, blending in almost seamlessly with the shadows, moving with whatever little moonlight is filtering down below the steps. As you make your way down, you keep eyeing the different inscriptions of this strange language, which is obviously not from your heritage. You can't seem to decipher them, but as you get deeper and deeper into the ziggurat, you start to feel as though you can read in common the word rest on the walls. It just seems to appear in front of your eyes. And then you realize, as you take more steps, that it's not the voice in your head, as though you are reading, saying the word rest, but a multitude of voices. You come to the bottom of the stairs and see a multitude of people at the bottom, most of whom are tieflings. all asleep. One you recognize as the armored individual from the caravan. Another, the tiefling, who is much finer dressed than the others. And your two new companions, all asleep on the floor. As you make your way gingerly over to them, you realize that there's no one else in here except people sleeping. At the very back of the room, you catch a very brief glimpse of what looks to be a pulsating purple gemstone inlaid into the wall. And then you hear a very familiar voice, as though calling to you from very far away. The voice of the Queen of Arlestad, saying the word rest, and you fall asleep.
Oh, man.
shit.
Question. Since magic can't put me to sleep.
You are asleep.
Shut the fuck up, you're asleep, you piece of shit.
Which, yeah, should tell you something.
Okay, cool. That'll be fun.
We have no power here.
Yeah.
You're meant to rest eternally.
This is... You all find yourself in pitch darkness. Supposedly awake. You have no sensation of anything around you except the darkness. There is no wind. There is no sound. You can't feel anything against your skin. You can't smell anything. You're in complete nothingness. This is a particularly strange sensation for Cullen, who does not sleep. And as you sit in this pitch darkness, in turn, each of you sees a disembodied head, wearing armor and wreathed in flame. It grows in size as it seems to come closer towards you, perhaps expanding, perhaps nearing. There doesn't seem to be any heat emanating from it, though. It speaks with a ghostly voice to you. You all hear the same thing from it. I am the Forge Master, and you are in my crucible. Yet, none of you are pure. You will prove yourselves for the frontier. In service to Queen Caladora, you must venture back into the desert. Bandits have stolen precious cargo. Retrieve it. Do not look inside, and your favor will be complete, and you will be granted access to the frontier. Your rest is at an end. The head shrinks back into the distance. The Forge Master is gone. You all awaken feeling the best rested that you have in your lives. You notice as well that the companion who was the individual who was wearing his full plate of armor has a small mechanical falcon which has been pecking at his armored head, trying to wake him. There's a steady tick noise as you all open your eyes in the now dimly lit ziggurat. You do see that the gemstone is still inlaid into the wall, but it's a dull amethyst.
Can I try to take it?
You absolutely can. That's a sleight of hand check, please.
You do that every time you try to steal something.
21.
21. How are you trying to take it?
I just walk up to it and go to take it.
Just like grabbing it? Cool. It's set into the wall, so you kind of try to pry your fingers around it, and it doesn't really budge because it's very inlaid. So instead, you use a small dagger to try and pry it out. You do so. It pops out. It falls into your hand. And then it starts shaking. And a crack forms along one edge of it. Make a dexterity saving throw.
That is a 17.
Cool. You manage to toss the gem away as you realize it begins to glow with furious light. It shatters and explodes. Everyone else in the room, please make a dexterity saving throw.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Was that rest counted or was it long rest?
Yeah, everyone got a long rest out of that.
Okay. So I am back with my spell slot.
Dex saving.
Yeah, dex saving throw.
14.
14 attacks.
Nine.
9.
Hey.
It's not the worst one.
Come on.
4.
Okay.
I'm on bad.
I guess you're a barbarian, kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not proficient.
He's not a dodgy boy.
I'm gonna take it and show you how to take it, boy.
I don't even try to.
Even as like you bitch, just like I can do this.
So we had 9, 9, 14, 4, and you already did do 17.
You're the one that just dodged it and threw it down.
Silas and J-Ross, you take 11 necrotic
Oh
damage.
shit!
This guy.
And everyone else takes 22 as the gem erupts in deadly energy.
Including me.
Yeah,
Yes, you take 11. You took
Oh,
half damage
five.
for succeeding.
Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
God damn.
Not that it matters, but I just realised I also have can't be put to sleep by magic.
No, it doesn't matter!
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
he just-
I forgot, I was
he started
thinking
that
about
sentence with it doesn't matter.
Okay.
It does matter because
It was
it's
weird.
traumatizing for someone
Well,
that
you
doesn't
said
put
it, and I
to
was
sleep.
like, wait a minute, I
Yeah, it was weird for you.
Yeah.
But it happened,
But it
alright?
happened.
And I enjoyed it until I got necrotic damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had a great rest. That's something you would never have experienced.
Beyond that.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Revealed.
Yeah, you have all awakened. However,
How many people just died?
Did we wake,
Yeah,
did we wake
um,
up to the explosion or like? is
no,
that-
you guys were like,
what is
oh, big stretch, and then like J. Ross just goes, oh, nice plan.
Can I have shielded my burn so I didn't take any damage?
Yeah, you
from
can
it?
shield.
Was that
God.
rest a like?
That was a long rest.
Oh, okay.
Kill me.
Different.
And then as we woke up,
You got to full health, then you immediately
Yeah,
took 22
literally,
damage!
man.
Hey, that's still way
Um,
better.
That's still more than you had.
He just, we wake up and we're like stretching and he just pulls the thing and throws it
Yeah.
on.
What the fuck was that?
There are currently about 14 dead tieflings on the floor.
Oh.
Alright, what can I do?
Well, I didn't expect that.
What did you do?
I don't know. I just took the gem.
There are pieces of emerald scattered around the floor
Oh,
now.
I
They're
picked them
probably still worth money.
I picked them all up.
Yep, yeah.
How many pieces?
You collect about maybe 45 gold worth of gem.
I want to kill
Nearly
him.
made
my
returns.
turn.
Nearly made returns on your night in the
Oh yeah, and your laugh and your.
I think all the
22 necrotic damage
I
for a
think-
buff.
and
Well, you
and
didn't
the
take 22.
and all the service I got at the bar, very worth the
Am I
50
able
gold.
to- Are they all just dead? Or.
They are dead.
Oh, so there's nothing I can do.
I mean, yeah, you can heal all of them if you want. They're unconscious. They're dying.
So can I do spare the dying on them? Or do I need to cast a spell? Like, or
Can you do that on
It's better-
literally all of them?
By the time you get around to all of them, at least 10 of them will have died.
Okay, so my
Out of
main
15.
question.
Yeah.
So you don't just like run it.
Yeah, he can't just go.
That's how I imagine it.
You get a spare the day. You
Duck,
get a spare the
duck,
day.
duck, goose. No one dies.
He does.
You get a spare life. And you get a spare life.
Whilst you're doing that, Josh, I appear in silence at this point. My eyes seemingly have changed colour as anger is running through my face. Creature of recklessness, what is the response to your actions?
Oh, I have never been called reckless before in my life.
14 lives surrounding us at at death's edge because of your responses and your actions.
I bow my head solemnly. I apologize for the effect this is having on you, my friend. I did not mean to commit such an act. I merely wanted to understand what sent us all into a very interesting situation.
I believe curiosity has time and place, but with foresight to think what things may lead to, I see none of that in what you have just done.
I bow even deeper. I agree. I apologize. Please take my humblest apologies.
Apologize to their families.
Alright, so I'm gonna, while you guys are all arguing about the death of people, you said I can't. You said if I do spare the dying, then 10 people die. Yeah, out of 14.
It's the same.
Yeah. Okay. Alright. Can I cast 2 prayers of healing and then spare the dying the rest?
Yeah, no combat.
So that's 6 creatures, and 2.
2.
So it's
Yeah.
three casts.
Yeah.
So you
Cullen
So as
is
in-
kneeling.
I'm kneeling, and you see me as you arguing. Like I've sat down in the middle of the group of people. I've spared dying 2 first, and then I've just gone into casting, and there's 3 cards in front of me, and they're floating and glowing, and I've cast, and then the cards will slowly just spread out. 3 more cards spread out, and they slowly go and hover around each of the people.
Waves of
And magic.
positive energy radiate out of them, and most of the dying individuals stand up again.
Is there
And there's like sweat dropping down my.
2 of them
Face
still
is-
lie unconscious but stable.
There's still 2.
The rest of they're unconscious but they're not dying,
Okay.
and the rest of them stand up.
Okay.
Apparently, no worse for wear.
Yeah, they see me a bit. I'm like sweating a bit and like exhausted with like the intense of like casting that quickly over that
Short period of time.
I'll walk over to you and just hand you my water skin.
Roberta, for 2
that's
remaining,
better.
is there one worse for wear than the other?
No, they both were pretty badly wounded.
Okay. And what are the extent of their wounds?
Like if they need active help to actually be revitalized.
Okay.
Like someone would need to heal them, but they won't die if they're left in this state.
Can I cast Cure Wounds
Mhm.
on both?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they gasp and start back up. Oh. They look very forlorn.
Fucking why?
They were labourers, I think.
I'm sorry, you guys say something.
Thank you, brother. Back to it, I suppose. He climbs to his feet and starts trudging back up the stairs out of the ziggurat.
Brothers, before you leave, may I ask one simple question?
Of course.
Would you not choose life over death, regardless of the place you find yourself in?
One of them pulls down his shabby clothes, the collar of which was pulled up very high, as they all seem to do. And from underneath it, he pulls out what looks like a very thick leather band with etchings carved into it. And he says, "Not all lives are worth saving." And he lets it fall back and continues up
Is
the
it
stairs.
magic?
You can check.
Do I need a card check?
Okay,
Or do I need like detect magic, or do I
You
need
can do either. One is guaranteed to work.
Yeah.
While they've all been healing, I
I
picked out a cloth out of my pocket and I'm just dusting I'm cleaning my armor that's been on
I cast
the
Some of the
ground.
crowd.
They're all, yeah, everything. I'm just cleaning myself up to look as perfect as possible.
You are gleaming.
I cast
Yeah, yeah.
detect magic.
Yeah, so as the tieflings all walk past you and back up the stairs, you can sense magic energy coming from these collars that they're all wearing.
So I know the origin.
It-
The intent of the magic, or what is the goal of that?
yeah, it's
Or I can't check that.
it's evocation magic.
Evocation magic.
Yes, evocation magic surrounding the collars and every single one of them is wearing one, even if you can't see it.
I turn back to Tordrat and the Tiefling, and I both give them a look and say, "Well, I would say no harm done, but I think they might disagree."
Well, at least they're walking out of here.
I actually think that they might have preferred the hunt.
That is what I am saying. Anyway, let's. I want to understand what we have seen. Did we all see the same thing?
The favor.
I was told to find cargo from some bandits, and that is our favor to complete.
From the one that called himself the Forge Master.
Go closer to you, my friend.
From the one that called himself the Forge Master.
The same presence I felt as I entered this place, this dwelling that we have all, what seems to be called toward.
How did we get here?
You both uttered a word.
What was his word?
I do not want to say in case it occurs again. But it made you come here and fall asleep. But then I followed you and I heard the same word in my head. And despite not uttering it myself, I also fell into the trance.
Well, we know how we're going to get out of this time then.
Unfortunately, our mission has to wait for us to get this done.
This is all part of the mission.
I think you are right.
Right, well, as fascinating as this all is, we all had the same stupid dream, I assume. It's not too hard. Let's just get on with this.
Well, I for one agree. My goal here was to find the favor, and as soon as we now all found the favor, and as soon as we complete it, I believe they'll let us out onto the frontier, where we can pursue our own or aligned interests.
Well, as we have all seen the same favor, perhaps the intention is for us to complete it together.
Well, I think
Makes
we were
sense.
the only ones that survived that explosion, so that's a good sign. And we should journey together.
If we are to journey together, I believe, as I have stated to my new companion, I believe names are powerful. If I am to be journeying with any of you, I would request that I know each of your names, and in return, I pass mine on to you.
You want to have Grimdelver.
Alright, down there.
And necklace
Wasn't really
of
cute.
Utarabe. A pleasure to meet you all.
Cullen Drew.
I am Silas Bonaboce. You would not have heard it.
It's a big catch.
It's fucking great.
It says it earlier. Gilas Nardhide, the son of the Nardhide family. The pleasure is yours, I'm sure.
I don't know what the fuck you are.
Well, I didn't say you would.
I
That's
chuckle.
not as good a catchphrase.
Jason's shadow is under who the fuck you are. I chuckle to myself and I smile, venom in my eyes towards this exceptionally rude individual.
Dark eyes and daggers for the man who just took a crystal and blew up half the place. Fitting. I'll just gotta leave.
Well, sometimes investigation.
I'll
carries
fall in
this.
line next to
But he walked
Yeah.
absolutely.
Nephris,
Necklace.
and like kind of like give a nod of thank you for his help with healing.
And in response,
Yeah, it's like that knowledge of like there was someone else that chose life.
yeah.
The mechanical falcon screeches back at the rest of the party in the ziggurat, and then turns and like places its beak very close to J. Ross's face and begins chittering anxiously. It nuzzles him slightly.
I should have, yeah, with the hat. There.
Well, where do we go?
We do. They said that the bandits were But they said their location depends? Or just the
He
outside?
didn't, just that he was back in the deserts.
So the desert is in the frontier. The frontier is so like it's kind of
The
like
frontier is to the west.
so it's
And
kind
we
of
have to go
Out your
backwards.
west.
You have to go that way. Well, there's the north.
That's
So
it.
west,
Sorry.
east.
Oh, I see.
So we have to
it's-
come back the way we came.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
No one's allowed into the frontier until they do their favor.
Okay.
So does it goes like desert, then we travel through the massive fuck off wall, the city, and then on the other side of the city is the
It's the
frontier.
frontier.
So we're going back to the fuck off wall to the desert.
And there are
Yeah.
2 sections to the city.
Cool.
I'll be waiting outside.
One is the Crucible, which is where you are, and the other is the Hand of the Queen, which is that raised hill.
Alright, let's head out to the desert.
Yeah, I'll fall in line with the rest of them.
I walk next to Tordrad.
You're under a stifling heat as you make your way eastward again, back through the Crucible. You have endured many hardships in your lives, and even more so within the last few weeks for some of you. And none of you is looking forward to facing them again as you backtrack into Citrunia. At this point, the wind is dead, but as you draw closer to the portcullis and drawbridge that allowed you access, it seems to almost sense your presence, and the drawbridge starts to lower and the portcullis starts to raise. As soon as it has any crack in it, sand, wind, and the even more scorching, blistering heat of the sun strike you all in the face as you look out into the eternally thirsting sands of Citrunia once again.
I put my scarf back on my hot head.
Yeah, I've got my cloak put up.
I'll pull out of my bag a cloak. Forgot to have it on earlier, and kind of put it on. It's like a blue with scales running across the sides of it that I put it on. And I also put on some winged boots.
How am I doing with the heat?
Wings on each side of them.
You would be okay, but you'd
Still
you'd
very
still be
hot.
strong. You'd still be very hot. Nephros, on the other hand, is love and laugh. Yeah, Nephros like runs up more.
Literally.
You begin striding out eastward into the sandy wastes. The visibility is very low, and the sun continues to beat down on you. You march for what seems like hours, and somewhat blindly as you're not entirely sure what you're looking for, or the best direction to head in. So Trudia is huge, and the sands shift, so keeping your bearings can be quite difficult. So marching out any further without a plan would be haphazard.
I'll, on the walk up, turn to Cullen. You spoke of divination. Some predictions that you can make. Can you do any of that here?
Oh, you read my mind.
But not actually.
No,
No.
no skill.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
That,
It's not about stats here.
what?
We just got told there was a bandit camp.
Yep, they took a wagon with cargo.
They stole something.
Yeah, they stole cargo. You're not supposed to look at what it is.
Oh yeah, I should write that in brackets.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's pretty important.
Try to write that down.
Not
Okay.
good.
I-
That's
I
part
would've
of
remembered
the,
that.
that's part
Yes.
of the thing.
Locate object wouldn't work on it.
Oh.
Is it too far away?
No, because
Yeah, well, I guess I'll
it is familiar to me. The
Yeah,
vision,
you
is
need
it
to know.
familiar to me? Do I see?
Mmm.
Good.
True. Was it shown to him in the vision? That's the question.
Did I see a landmark of anywhere that I'm supposed to travel to? I'm trying to work with those two, or which one? Because it depends on who I'm going to use. Do I guiding hand or locate object?
Make a wisdom check to see if you can recall seeing it.
A wisdom check.
Hope it's hard.
Now, can I cast guidance on myself?
No, but I can.
Yeah.
Does that
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Can one of us also try to record in our own minds to see if he can read it from there?
No,
To assist.
because he wouldn't be able to like see it in your heads.
True.
Yeah. But yes, Nephris can cast guidance on you. Yep.
Or does that give me advantage? Or does that
That gives you plus 1d4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you play Baldur's Gate, God?
What did you say? Did you say Boulder? I heard
Baldur's Gate.
I said Baldur's Gate.
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah, that's it.
Baldur's Gate.
Gold is a bang.
that's what Josh uses me in the game for.
and you gave me
You get thrown
plus
around.
4.
No.
I get tossed by everyone up right now.
Uh,
Because I can't jump.
Toss me.
25.
Nice.
Yeah, you have seen the wagon in question
Nice.
by pure chance. You have passed it in your travels through the desert by absolute luck.
That's so funny.
You can cast locate object, and you can figure out the object is in motion, or it.
I
How do you
once
play?
I do that, then I express
Do
my
you use your cards to
yeah.
tell us?
I use my cards, so
That's cool. That's a news true.
I grab out my cards and start shuffling through them, and then at some point my hands stop shuffling them, but they keep shuffling themselves, and then it stops, and then the top card just slightly moves forward and tilts to the angle like a compass. It's starting to realign to the direction that I look at, and then I turn to that direction and it
And the
straightens
card
up
balances.
and it balances up. So
Do we start following the card?
and then I look at all you guys and I just kind of like nod to you, and I start walking to the direction in the card.
You should think about paying him as well.
Perhaps everyone still gets our reward if when we get what we need.
I walk up. That is fascinating. Is that divine intervention there?
I don't believe in divine intervention as much as the source of divinity itself.
I see.
You don't believe in any divinity.
I don't believe that the gods. I believe the gods are just accessing the power that they bestow upon their subjects. So
That's an interesting
I
reason.
guess what you'd say is I just gain my insight, or as you call divine intervention, directly from the source of divinity, where the gods, good and evil, give theirs.
Fascinating.
You might say I am God.
It's not just
I
divine.
believe in myself as a god. It's more I find that I channel the the chaoticness of divinity, the divine power that isn't chosen to do good or evil because it isn't good or evil. It's how one uses it.
Yes. You just watch Iron Man just scribbling on a bit of paper, writing everything he's writing down.
Write that down. Write that down.
Now, who did you tap into this magic?
Just the gift, you'd say that as from a young age I found myself with the natural ability of visions and omens and dreams that over time and through the help of the cards and my mentor I learned to harness it better. People would come and see me for visions, and adventurers would come and see me for advice on their quests, and I would partake, sometimes with them or sometimes just in giving advice.
And what intention does your spirit have behind using such power?
I follow my own moral compass. I try to do what I believe is right and right for those that are around me. His power is not always certain and can have great positive or negative effects because it isn't like good or evil. So I have become wary of using or channeling directly through the cards because I'm not always certain what can happen. But to some degree, I have learned to control and tame it to my will.
And to that I give my respects.
Have you been walking as you guys are discussing?
Yes.
I hope so.
In the desert.
We're just sweating. You're in armor, just like, it's red.
I'm hoping there's like inbuilt AC in this thing, man.
And not the AC that's making us.
So as you've been walking, the thing about locate object is it only works if it's nearby. And
They also speak.
a kilometer. Or yeah, not mine.
I don't know.
Whatever that is, but it has to be fairly close.
It is 0.3 kilometers.
Oh, it's really actually not very
It's
far.
actually 300 meters away.
There you go.
We can probably see it.
Yeah, not the object itself, but it is fairly close by. And as you've been walking, you have realized that through the prevailing desert winds, the scouring sands that whip at you from every angle and off at you as you try to walk, out of that milieu, you see a structure rising near you. And as you get closer, you can make out, scattered around you, broken pillars that all bear draconic and tiefling iconography covering them. These are fairly ancient stones that you recognize, particularly Nephris. These are remnants of civilizations and cultures long since past, and which speaks to how much they've decayed and the ancient hieroglyphics that cover them. And as you get closer, you think that you can just barely make out the sound of voices on the wind, but it's hard to hear anything over the wind itself.
Before we continue, can I roll for a survival check, just for any changes in the landscape?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a like a building of some sort,
Yeah,
like a structure.
a ruin potentially. It's hard for you to see much of it. You can see broken pillars around, a few collapsed walls.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. Can I see if there's any kind of entrance or any kind of underground area in this building?
Yeah, you can take a look around. So what was your...
I was going to roll also with my friends. I think before we continue, we have seen a structure ahead, but at this point I feel it's necessary to tread lightly. Whilst the landscape is flat and may seem benign, I believe in the experiences I've had around sands and desert, oftentimes things may lurk unseen.
Indeed.
Would I? Is this stonework?
+9.
What was your roll?
That's a +9. That's
Well,
9.
just-
Sorry,
just 9.
Just 9, yeah.
Yeah, so you... You can... What you do feel is that the sand is... The dune is sloping upwards slightly, and the sand is becoming more compact. You do also realize that there are more boulders in this area. It could be old stonework that's sort of crumbled away. It could just be natural formations of sandstone, aeolianite, that sort of thing that's formed as the wind has gathered it up. But did you have something you wanted to do for it?
Well, stone cunning. So if I specifically related to stonework can make intelligence, a history check on the stonework.
Yeah, go nuts.
Is this the writing one?
Just the stonework itself, like the way it's been carved.
I feel like I can read John as well.
So, oh wow, fuck.
Do you want me to aid you in that?
Can
Yeah, actually.
Guidance.
Yeah.
Is that going to be?
I mean, he could, so you
I
get
assist you
advantage
to do an advantage.
Thank you.
because he would know a little bit about it.
That's a little better. No, wait, hold on, because I've got a couple. So it's getting me to add double my proficiency bonus instead of my normal proficiency bonus. So is that that's just my flat out proficiency
Times twice.
Yeah. So that's going to be 18.
Cool. Yeah, so the stone is ancient. It was carved by hand, and it was very clearly a temple once upon a time, but it has since fallen into disrepair.
Do I know? I don't know what temple it was like. Always too old.
Ancient gods.
Okay.
Something that isn't relevant anymore to most of the
I'll just
landscape.
quickly
Something people
relay
would
that
worship.
to everybody.
Would that have been my role? Would that be a perception or an insight check?
History, if you wanted to know about. What were you trying to check?
I was looking for like any kind of like access to any kind of underground areas or any kind of doors.
Perception.
Okay, let's say 25 then.
25. Yeah, what that does allow you to do is look as best you can through the sandstorm around you. You do actually see shadows in the distance, and more of the structure. In fact, you can probably make out most of the structure itself. If we could get it open. Yeah, boy. Yeah. So, you would have likely come from this direction. So you can see bits of broken pillar. You also notice that there are stairs leading up onto what is now mostly a flat surface, which would have been the floor of this sandstone temple. You do make out several figures in the area. You can't really tell what they are, but you do see you see that they are somewhat humanoid and bipedal, and as far as you can tell, there are 3 of them so far, and then there's also a quadruped that is walking around somewhere.
And are these guys with the cargo?
You can't see the cargo at this point, but you can see these figures through the sand.
Should we attempt to catch up to them?
You're the only one that's seen them.
I relay this information to the group. Should we try to catch up with these individuals? Perhaps they are what we are looking for.
How far are they?
How far are they?
About 60 feet in front of you.
They are about 60 feet in front of me. Awesome.
Is anybody here fast?
Not particularly.
Not
Dwarves are
so-
good for speed.
Right.
I would like to adopt a stealthy position as we begin the approach to these people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to send the bird up as well, 20 feet above us, kind of just happening around, circling.
Cool. You have the bird circling above you.
Go, King.
Make your stealth check, please. You have a
26.
Are we all stealthing?
He's the only one who's going. You can all stealth if you
Oh,
want.
it would be a disadvantage if I'm stealthy.
Yeah, so
I'm stealthing and separating from the group to sort of go on like a flank
We'll let him go first.
a flank maneuver to try to sort of go around
Take
to
it.
approach
Yeah.
these guys.
So now that you're getting closer,
So it indicates where he is.
Like just about.
Yeah.
now that you're getting closer, you can make out the individuals a bit better and where they are. The structure, you can see now, the structure is very obviously a temple. The statues there are both of draconic and tiefling origin. In fact, the statues themselves look like dragonborn, but they have curling horns. Most of the statues seem to have the horns broken off, though. Whether or not this is intentional or just a consequence of age is something that you wouldn't be able to tell. As you're walking though, and sneaking secretly, you can see the following. So, put you.
You're in the shrubs.
Do you guys think that the dragon wanted the Tieflings were fucking, and that's why they got those mixed statues?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, is that your
That's his
you've assessed
hypothesis.
stonework, and that's what you've discovered.
No, this is metagaming. I'm just asking.
Or the other way
I
around.
don't
Even,
like to speculate.
even the other way around.
True.
Separate genetics.
Interspecies
involved.
is fine, okay?
Yeah.
As long as they can all consent. It's the theme.
I'm not as that's the theme of this campaign. C for
Consent.
campaign. T for consent. The prize we get is consent. That's it.
So, you see several individuals gathered around a caravan, or around a wagon. The wagon itself is much larger than the one that you rode in on with the other adventurers. It is still covered in the same white sheeting. However, your keen eye does note that underneath that, it's basically solid wood. So there's no easy airflow through it, apart from holes that have been drilled in at key points around the edges. At one end of the wagon, you see a dragonborn trying very hard to break open a locked door on one side of it. There are two other warriors with him, one who is wearing quite heavy armor carrying a halberd and shield, and another who looks very lightly armored, covered in a robe, in colors that would let him blend into the desert, but also carrying a very notably impressive staff. Off to the side, overseeing the situation, is another dragonborn who is far more imposing than his compatriots, with a cloak, shield, and absurdly wicked-looking scimitar at his hip. You can't really make out what they're saying, but it's clearly very heated, and the attempts to break open this locked side of the wagon are desperate. Like, they are not just trying, they seem to, you can see tools scattered around them, they seem to have tried to pry it open or lockpick it, and they're now trying to resort to smashing it open, and are not succeeding. Finally, off to the side, clearly trying to make itself scarce, but still unable to escape your gaze, you see a quadrupedal reptilian creature, which, can you do a nature check for me?
18.
This is a guard drake. Many of the Dragonborn in Citroonia take the less intelligent draconic beings there and make them subservient. So this one has no wings, but you do know that some of them are capable of burrowing underground.
This is, sorry to go off topic, but can someone explain how sneak attacks and stuff work?
You need to have well, as a rogue thing, you need to have advantage.
So how do I get advantage?
So if you're stealth, so if you're in hiding and no one can see you, you get a plus, I think it's a +6 to the damage you do. Or like
It's
a
an
plus
extra,
six-
it
an
has
extra
dice.
damage.
Yeah, I've got my dice. I know how that.
You
I
need
got
to be
my
hidden.
5d6 damage.
So for example, if you attacked and then used a bonus action to hide and you were successful, you could use sneak attack again.
Or if one of your allies is threatening them.
Yeah, if you
get
get someone's
advantage.
next to them and then you come behind, you've got advantage, you can sneak attack.
Yeah.
If you were to try and move towards someone, I think you're going to be making constant stealth checks as you get closer. If you want to sneak attack by yourself.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but if if you surprise someone, you'll have advantage. Anything that gives you advantage lets you sneak attack.
Oh, it's like flanking, so I'm on the opposite side.
Correct.
Cool. Alright, cool. Continue.
Or like any spells that give him advantage to his attack
Whole
rolls.
person.
Oh, true.
Anytime you get advantage,
Thank
you can
you.
sneak attack.
I get 5d6 extra damage.
Yeah, it's fun.
it's
That's crazy.
It's big dupes.
Holy shit.
That's level 10 rogue, baby.
But yeah, that's what you see.
Cool.
The temple does extend as a flat surface further on up those stairs, and you can see remnants of campground up there, but you can't see anyone else.
How many feet is he away? How many feet away was he?
Each of those is 5 feet.
How can I communicate this to the rest of the
What
group?
hexagon?
Sorry.
How can I communicate this to the rest of the group?
You can either go back or yell. How would you normally communicate it?
Can the bird relay a message?
No, it cannot talk.
Well, maybe to me.
I mean, it can kind of. It can.
It's a contract.
It-
It's a contract.
It's a construct, not a beast.
Sorry, it's a mechanical raven.
Yeah.
Why didn't you
Falcon.
pick a real life one?
That offends the
If
troll.
I go back,
I created him.
for me to go back and then come back, I have to do another stealth check.
Correct.
For now, I'm going to stay here.
Okay.
So can we see him at this point, like hiding, like from where we were? Or we
You can. I mean, you probably can't actually. He's very modern.
But they can see the direction I was
They
heading.
can, yeah, you know where he went.
My card is still showing me anything? Or is it
Yes,
stuck?
it is pointing the direction of the wagon that they're trying to get
And
to.
how far away were you, sorry?
You're just beyond those rocks and plants, so you'd be like
Fair bit.
50, 60 feet.
More, I think.
70 feet maybe.
Right, well,
Can they see anything?
are we going to approach or are we just going to stand here and wait for them to break it open?
You can't see.
Yeah, we can. They're 60 feet away from us.
No, he's the only one who can see. He's
Oh,
the
we
only
can't
one.
see them at all. But he told us they were there.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, he did when he relayed it
He
to
said
us.
there were
he thought-
figures there, but I don't think he saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. We know something's there.
I can see them. I can see the people there. We know the cargo's there.
Mm.
I'm there. I'm staying hidden. I haven't relayed the information to you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
staying
yeah.
hidden.
But we know there are figures there.
Yeah, no, you
we
don't.
would
Oh, do you?
probably
Yeah, you told us
use it,
earlier.
yeah. We don't know how many.
You relayed.
Oh yeah, I realized there were a few people. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
true,
trying
true,
to
true.
say. We know
know
something's
there's something
there.
The sun's up.
But
Maybe.
you don't know they're trying to break the cargo.
True. Okay.
So you gotta if you read
Right.
that.
We can see the card that he's got, and that's
Point in the direction of the
Yeah.
there.
So,
one would assume.
right, I think we should sneak it.
I'm not the stealthiest.
Yeah, see him honestly.
I have
You
a
just
suggestion.
hear my metal armor kind of
Yeah.
Damn paladins.
clink like clinks as I like my CML as I walk.
Same.
This is why I went up on myself.
I have a suggestion. I've seen many of the desert birds that fly these plains, these areas. I can gain advantage. I can see. I can find myself a different place. What do I think? I can get a visual from the skies.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah.
That's one I'd say. I'm rather unsure on the parameters around flying.
So it is a speed, but
Yeah.
you can just stay up there. It's like,
Okay.
um,
And is there? I assume is it still based off my walking travel distance or not?
So you'll have a fly speed itself, so that includes how far up you would go and how far across.
Okay. Let's take a quick look. Okay, where were you? I recommend that fight. So,
that distance would only become relevant in combat.
okay,
Because at the moment, if you have a fly speed, you can fly.
Okay. Well, at this point, I position myself in a circular motion. Position myself opposing side to where the four figures are.
I don't know
So
what
sort of around
what
here?
you pick. It's usually based 50 to 60 flight speed.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah, it's usually around 60. Do I have a little bird? I don't know if I have a little bird.
You get two.
Should have put that Corsair model that has
Nah,
the
you don't get the.
King needs his bird.
You know what? We will just.
I forgot that I picked that name as well.
Oh, we've got some upstairs.
So we are in bird.
That's a bird.
I mean that's your teeth, but it is in bird.
It's bird.
I don't have bird. I'm sorry.
just get
Oh,
one
so
of
you
your
transformed into a bird.
Yeah.
Oh shit,
Nice.
nice.
Wild shape.
So 5 hours before I have to revert to normal form, so I'm cruising for time. Sorry, Rob. Just one other question as well. I possess a ring of regeneration.
Yes.
It is restore, roll a d6 every 10 minutes to restore hit points equal to that.
Yep.
In regards to tracking time, what's the best way of going about that?
You'd be full up by now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
A round
Yeah.
is about 6 seconds.
Okay.
If you think of it. So 10 minutes would be what? Like
100 rounds.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Would it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But outside combat.
Yeah. Given that we walked to the.
But outside combat, it's just 10 minutes.
Okay.
So like if you
Probably 12.
yeah.
So roll a d6.
So yeah,
twice.
when it becomes relevant that you want to use it, I can let you know how many dice to roll effectively. It's
Okay.
like how long that time has passed.
Cool.
I'm not gonna like every time
Yeah,
we
yeah.
walk a distance be like now roll for
Roll
this.
a
Yeah.
d6. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
At
so
10-minute intervals, I can.
the idea
track
is you
myself.
wouldn't be able to use it in combat
Yeah.
unless it went for like a really long ass time. So the point is, it's like as you're walking, it starts to hit you. But yeah, so
Well, after this, I'll keep an eye for every 10 minutes.
yeah,
in
you
time.
haven't lost any HP, but yeah. Cool.
Right,
So we have Nephris in the sky, keeping an eye on things. King is in the sky as well, keeping an eye on things. And then we have Silas keeping an eye on things on the ground. How would you like to proceed?
I'm staying hidden.
Yeah, I'll wait for any signal or movement from the rest of the party.
Well, I do prefer to be on the front line, so I'm happy to charge in if someone would like to accompany me.
Yeah, let's do it.
Excellent. And sorry, I don't know your specialty besides playing with cards.
You're such a dick.
I mean, he got us here, didn't he?
Well, I didn't say the cards. Playing with them didn't help us.
Let's just shoot tool and suggest something else.
I'm just asking what else he's doing.
It's alright for that. I heal people and I give visions and read omens.
Okay, perfect. We can use that. So protect you is what you're saying. Make sure no harm comes towards you so you can help us.
Yeah, I don't like the sight of death and people suffering.
Understood. I can work with that.
You're not going to heal the people that we kill, are you? just a question before we start.
Yes, that's good to know.
It's not my place to generally give judgment on who lives and who dies. If I feel in the moment that someone is not deserving of death, I will spare them from death. That's usually falls more of the mortal, rational races and beings. If anything of undeath or evil wheel we come across, I'm the first to bring weapons to bear. But when it comes to people of conscience and choice, I don't feel like I am the one that should be the decider of whether they live or die.
So I can.
Excellent. Well, let's get this
As
on.
you're having that conversation, you hear a thunderous noise erupt from the direction that the card is pointing. As the two of you are watching, you see that most of the bandits have moved backwards away from the wagon, and the one holding the staff has cast a spell at the wagon. It erupted with a huge amount of force and did nothing to it.
Oh,
Shit.
right. Well, I think that's
They returned
actually...
trying to break it open.
You see, as I grab like a little like part of my gauntlet, it's like a wire coming up. I click it into my armor, and you see electricity start to course through both sides of the gauntlet as I do so.
And I reach behind the small of my back and pull out two hammers, one-handed hammers, connected by a chain. One glowing faintly red, the other glowing faintly blue.
Fascinating.
Can you make an arcana check just real quick?
Just a 5.
It was just to see if you knew what spell he cast, but you don't.
I guess I would just approach.
Yeah, just openly.
Well, we shouldn't stealth.
I'm happy to openly approach, but I will try to not make an absurd amount of noise. So if that means being stealthy, I'm happy
It's
to
gonna
roll
mean being stealthy
at
if that's what you do.
disadvantage.
You're either walking up to them, or
Can I?
I mean, you hear electricity humming from these gauntlets. I'm not trying to be quiet.
Can
at this
I-
point.
From my hammer.
Can I guidance
There you
people?
go.
Can you what?
Can I guidance people?
You can guidance one person.
Because
Unless-
yeah, it's concentration.
Yeah, unless you spend 10 minutes doing it.
Don't think we have the time for that.
You understand?
Can I stealth a bit closer?
Yes.
And
Make another stealth
while
check.
staying hidden? If I pass the stealth check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, 28.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
He's
how-
lying in the middle
you can
of
move
the
up to
circuit.
You don't need to be worried. You can
Press-
move up to your
Don't
speed.
sit
There you
push
go.
there.
No, but he's
Yeah.
I'll cast.
He digs himself into the sand.
yeah, but so he moved.
He wedges in between the sand.
Unlike the sand bug, they just like wiggle themselves into the sand.
Do you have disadvantage on stealth checks? So it's, I cast.
17.
I know, I cast.
Wait, do you have
Can I just keep on doing that?
I don't know.
You
Yeah,
can.
you just have to make a stealth check every time you move your speed.
I want to try to get to the other bushes as well.
Okay.
I cast guidance on
Sneak.
you.
That's 29.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, you'd have like a plus 12 on it.
I do, I have plus 12.
That was a
Yeah,
complete guess, oh my
exactly
God.
plus 12.
Wow.
That's why I'm getting all these stealth checks.
Let's go.
It's
Just
very
roll-
hard to fail.
Just roll.
Free gypsy.
Is roll 2.
Who'd you
and
cast
then,
it on him?
Cast it
Yeah, sick.
and then you apply 1 plus before.
7.
Good thing I did my stealth checks first.
Oh, yeah, you rolled 2.
My
so-
disadvantage is 2.
Oh, that was way better.
Nine.
Oh no, sorry, 3. Sorry, 3.
And Jairus.
Please hold.
If I
13.
If I fail my roll, can I just decide to not stealth and just like because I see that they
No.
You made your choice. Now, what is your marching order?
I'm happy to go up front and center.
Okay.
I think was it you were first, maybe.
No.
I would probably not be behind him. I'd be.
No, because I cast it
next.
on you, so you.
Oh, I'd say
Yeah,
we just
so-
walk next to each other then.
Cool.
I'd make sure he's behind us.
I'm always
Yeah, I
behind.
think
I'm
he
always
is, he's
behind.
a-
Yes.
Yeah, good.
I'm
So which model's which?
the middle.
I'm on your left hand side.
That is.
You're the one with the. I can't quite see.
That's
if it's got a
Jairus.
shield. Yeah.
With that one.
Yeah.
Well, it's not an exact.
They're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
exact.
That was from one of the previous cafeteria.
Yeah.
They aren't exact. We gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah, forgot about that.
He's
Yeah.
a, he's a
That's
dwarf.
alright,
It's the
I'll-
right
I'll
race.
find
That's
something.
the-
We gotta buy our hero 40 minutes.
Yeah.
As you approach them, the tall dragonborn turns, scimitar drawn, and points it directly at the three of you.
Oh boy. Can I make it so King's kind of above them, but at least 30 feet high?
Yeah, they don't pay any attention to him.
Sick.
They just assume he's a bird.
He's a pigeon.
He turns to you with scimitar raised. Back off!
I'm not so good at dealing with this.
You seem a bit stressed there.
We're doing important work.
I can see that. Do you need any help?
What kind of help can you offer us? You came from that place. You're working for them.
No, we're not. We just stumbled upon this place.
Anyone who comes back from those doors, they're all the same.
Well, I don't know. You know, we haven't come back from those doors. We've come from out there.
Make a deception check.
Guidance.
Yep, with
That's
that,
still-
so plus 1d4.
Oh yeah, true.
That's still active.
Deception, you said.
Deception, you say.
Deception.
Okay, that's not great.
Is it though?
About 10? Yeah, that's it.
You'll have to try a bit better than that, dwarf.
Can I just throw my hammer at it?
He starts to take a step towards you, but yeah, if you want to throw your hammer at it.
Absolutely will throw my hammer.
Cool.
I love barbarians.
Yes. So good.
I'm sure we can figure this
Make
out.
your attack roll.
That's a surprise attack, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could I have walked a few steps forward during the conversation by any chance?
Yeah.
I've got my hands are like gentlemen, please. I'm sure we can sort this out.
You can. What's your speed?
30.
Okay, you can go 20.
Excellent.
How far is that Drake from us?
Each is 5.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Each-
60,
Each space is 5.
So it's 60 feet.
60-ish feet.
So are they're 60 feet from us?
Yeah, roughly.
Because I've got range 40/60.
Yeah, so you're going to be making that at disadvantage.
Okay.
Because it's beyond
Ah,
it.
okay.
I couldn't have moved up at all. Probably not.
No, he would have taken that as an act of aggression.
That's totally fair. Okay.
The man
You've
with
also
the two
made your
hands.
Not
choice.
me with my hands are like gentlemen.
And then guidance. That's 18
Nice.
with guidance.
18.
That was a disadvantage.
That's disadvantage.
Yes.
Like,
What's
I've
that?
Belgium.
got a good attack bonus.
18 hits.
Oh, fuck yes.
Roll your damage.
So I've thrown, it's a, I don't know the name of it, but
I
it's...
do know the names.
No, sorry, general,
Ah.
everybody doesn't. So my hammers each have names. I've thrown Toniac, which is like it's my lightning hammer.
Blue light streaks across the distance between Tordra and the Dragonborn as it strikes him clean in the chest.
Did I just see this thing just fly past my head?
Yeah.
Oh my.
So the damage. Uh, 11 damage, and I would like to, if possible, use 10 feet of my movement to pull it back.
Pull toward you.
The hammer, the chain yanks backwards, and the hammer returns to Tordra's hand.
Nice. DC, well, he's got to make a DC 15 strength saving throw.
Yeah, he fails.
Oh, so he will suffer 1d6 thunder damage, 3, and all creatures within 10 feet are pushed back 10 feet.
Well, they also have to make the save.
Can they be pushed forward
Do
instead?
they take damage as well, or just
Well,
push?
push back in the sense of like
They take
where
damage
it
too.
could push back from
If
that
they fail to
direction.
save.
Sorry?
They take the damage too if they fail to save.
Oh, okay, cool.
But that one passed it. So he's going to take half damage.
So a 1.
Yes.
Actually,
You don't roll again,
I
it's
don't
just
roll.
from the same time.
Yeah, no worries.
Cool.
Does that weapon exist in D&D, or is that something you made up?
No, I made it
I made
up.
it up.
Rob fine-tuned it.
Did it pull
The
it?
dragon-
Was it meant to pull him towards us at all?
No, pushed him back.
Ah.
A crack of thunder emanates from where the hammer strikes the Dragonborn. It shoves him backwards, and his allies reel back as he crashes into the wagon behind him. He finds his feet again and says, "Defend the wizard! We need him once we get it open. Only he can break the curse."
Do I get an extra attack?
I was gonna say,
We're
can
going
I
to leave
cast?
it there.
Ah, okay.
Alright.
Awesome. I was gonna cast a spell quickly.
Oh,
I can do
like,
that.
That's a good spell to leave it.
leave it as we're about to fight it, right?